Sir, good to go.
Okay. Good afternoon and hearty welcome to all our participants in the Enqube collaboration. This is the fourth hybrid webinar in this year. We are conducting in the financial year, I mean, April, May, now the June, March also we conducted. And I am very happy that these webinars are going well because the objective of our Enqube collaboration is to impart knowledge and also bring all the what you call the various speakers or eminent people who have the so much knowledge on this subject on a platform so that they will have the opportunity to convey the on the subject matter, which will be of very use to all of us. And this Saturday, this webinar is on the most important matter, that is environment and sustainability, as well as the climate change. So the people, planet, and profit, and how we could use artificial intelligence to for a climate action, and in relation to various other aspects, what are the regulatory aspects in terms of the requirement for ESG, how the corporates and others are all reporting. And particularly, recently, all of us celebrated the UN Environment Day. And this year, the World Environment Day 2025 has the object of beating the plastic pollution. So all of you are aware with all that. We know that the environment is the one which gives us all energy, and our survival itself is depends on environment and nature. But uh, in spite of knowing that, because of our own requirements and our needs and wants are increasing, similarly the progress of the nation, progress of individual, in all that, we have to sometimes we have been affecting the environment. Say just now I saw in Maharashtra, they are going to have an additional source of water. It is a requirement because of such a big, great city. But they have to remove 3 lakh trees to get from the our that hill place, no, what is called. So in every place, and all of you have seen what happened in Himachal Pradesh, the cloud bursting and the heavy rain coming, and a lot of human lives, all the animal lives, and so the in spite of various mitigation measures which we have to take, and what happened in Wayanad in Kerala some time back, again, all that unexpectedly such a cloud burst will come, and that is the one part of that. So one, either we have a deficit rain, another is we have excess rain. This is due to climate risk. Second, the world over is getting very warm, the heat. So in the heat, not only people will suffer, a lot of heat related, people are death also taking place. It also affects agriculture. And if it affects agriculture, our source of food, that is wheat or rice, all of them, that also gets suffered. So we'll have a very difficult. Similarly, the rivers are also not taken care. All the industrial waste, the various pollution, these plastic, all that is all allowed to go to into river or maybe sea. Both with the result, our own India also, whether Ganga or Yamuna or all that river, are getting so polluted, and we also find that the rivers are getting dry with the heat. So the natural source of water is also getting affected. And with the heat of the sea, that the sea will all occupy the land area on the coastal belt. So there are a lot of risks for the coastal people wherever they are there. And so not only in India, but India is also seventh largest in terms of these risk of climate. So because, and a lot of losses has happened. So that is another area. Similarly, where we have a ice belt, various in Himalayas and other things, they are also getting melted. And when it melted, it affects the entire down area. And we will not have the source for future. So there are quite a lot of, even the one area like the COVID-19, what we witnessed, it is also due to excessive use of our earth or excessive use of nature. And of course, people are yet to know, but the reason is even today, the world over conflict and wars are taking place. The amount of pollution that is brought by the war, that is also, you have seen what is recently happened in our Iran and Israel, or in fact, even in, of course, that was a very short, India and Pakistan. And in the Israel, our Ukraine and Russia, it is going for more than 3 years. Now, these ammunition and other things also create a lot of chemical action, and now there is a threat of nuclear. So, with these type of things, so the Environment Day merely saying we will beat pollution and all, plastic pollution, we have to take this year, I think Korea took the lead, but all over we have to take the necessary action to get, we have to get the action towards these adaptation as well as the what you call mitigation. And but all of us say that these pollutions are all, or green gas emissions were brought due to the excessive use of fossil fuel. And the advanced countries, they contributed to the most of this industrial growth. And today, of course, they are slowly going away from their responsibility, and the necessary assistance in the global level. You know, the COP 29 was held. They had the requirement of enhanced quantified goal, and they were to get a higher, their expectation was 1.3 trillion US dollars. What was the committed amount? Only 300 billion. So even now, today's paper, this India itself needs 1.3 trillion US dollars for its whatever emission, which Madam is covering. So in this way, there is a long way to go, and that is where the today is not a mere buzzword, environment or ESG or climate change, sustainability. And one more thing is, with this type of affecting of the 17 sustainable goals, which are to be achieved by 2030, they are also getting delayed. And recently the report has come. India's position has slightly improved, but because of course India has been able to bring down the poverty line very low, and we are seeing that none of us are allowed to be without any food. So our Prime Minister has, from the COVID day, now around 80 crore of people are given food through the Food Corporation of India, both wheat and rice. So that has helped a lot of people to have a 1 day food also. So that helps. But otherwise, overall sustainable development goals, 17 goal, which is a very important, but only 30% has been achieved as on date. So we have a long way. So I will be, as and when I speak, I will be talking. So we have the first speaker, that is Dr. Sarita Jelle. She is a professor and associate director, MIT University, and she holds the BTech and MTech from IIT Bombay and PhD from the University of Pittsburgh. And with over 25 years across industry, academia, and R&D, she brings deep expertise in solar, voltaics, semiconductors, polymer engineering, and recycling. Previously, she held leadership roles at Motorola USA, Soitec, Solar City, and served as the CTO of IIT Bombay, NCPRE. At MIT WPU, she spearheads sustainable research, including solar waste recycling projects funded by RGSTC, a profile scholar and she has got a high index, around 9,500 citations plus. Her pioneering work spans advanced materials, waste to value, and PV life cycle optimization. She has a very deep knowledge on the alternative energy, and she has done sort of work. Now she conducts some training program also in their college. So it is a very glad that we have Dr. Sarita Rajesh Delle here, and both of us also in one company which is engaged in alternative energy. We are both independent directors. I found very enthusiastic and very knowledgeable person, madam. So with this, I request her to take up and cover her address on climate change and India's response. Come on. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I really appreciate you inviting me.
I'll take. Yeah.
So can we have the slides?
Shilpa, Shilpa, can you put the slide? Shilpa, you are hearing, no? Madam, her slide. Yeah. She, I gave her, she what? There is center. I will put that one.
Hello, sir. Shilpa here. I've
You
not
got
yet
the
received
slide?
the mail, sir. No, sir, not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
Madam, I will tell you that she sent you this slide in your at the 12:30, Shilpa. You Shilpa M at logistics onelogistics.com. You must have received that. You are not able to have it. I will send you in your WhatsApp, madam. Yeah. Yeah, I will. What you do? That is her.
I sent her already, sir.
Ah, you have sent?
Yes, I already sent
No,
her.
she is not received
No, I have seen her, sir.
because we'll be unnecessary
Yeah, it is
delay.
received in a WhatsApp. I was checking the mail because I was told that one it will be sent
It
by.
is there, madam. What's in your email is there. I have seen at 12:30 it is sent by her, madam. I have also received.
The email ID is wrong. Mine is shilpa.m@a1logics.com. It is not A1 Logistics.
Okay.
Maybe that's why it's not received.
I missed.
You want me to send right now? Huh? What do you say? Huh? WhatsApp में है नहीं उन आप इधर आइए ना क्या करते हैं
Sir, give me a second. I have received in a WhatsApp. I'm downloading. Let me play. Yeah.
आप तो करिए स्टार्ट करिए अभी वो तो विल स्टार्ट नो प्रॉब्लम अब ये बाद में put that okay आप स्टार्ट करिए yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, and appreciate Narendraji's calling me here.
Yes.
It is a very apt topic. We're talking about people, profit, and planet.
Right.
Okay, one planet,
People, planet, and profit.
People, planet, and profit.
Triple
okay.
bottom line.
All right. Okay. So my name is Sarita Jele, as Narendraji kindly introduced. I am a chemical engineer by profession from IIT Bombay, and currently working at Maharashtra Institute of Technology, MIT, World Peace University in Pune. And I'm here today to talk about climate change and India's response.
Yes.
So once we get the slides, I'll just upload it. I will give a brief introduction of my work so far, my journey until here. Then we'll cover a little bit about the topic.
Yeah. It has come.
Right, good.
Yeah.
Let's put it in slide view.
She'll
do it.
She will do that.
Can you put it in slide view?
It has come.
Great.
It has
Thank
come.
you, Shilpa.
Yeah. You can now utilize here, or she will go on the next slide.
Okay.
She will put.
Next slide. So we'll briefly discuss my journey. Then we'll talk about the climate change, which Narendraji has already set the context on. We'll discuss a little bit about the policies and initiatives that have been taken care of in India and how it has impacted what are the success stories and what are the challenges ahead. Then slightly about sustainability, the definition, the impact, why sustainability is important. And last couple of slides, I'll just talk about our research in sustainability and the ESG training program that Naresh briefly mentioned. Next. All right. So after the chemical engineering education in IIT Bombay, I was in US for a long time. I did my PhD from University of Pittsburgh, also in chemical engineering. My work was in semiconductor industry, starting with Motorola, where we were making chips of different technology. So process engineering there. From semiconductor, I moved to renewable energy, Solar City, Solar, Crystal Solar are some of the companies that I worked at. In 2016, we moved back. Me and my husband moved back to India. So we started working at IIT Bombay, and I was with the National Center for Photovoltaic Research and Education, NCPRE, which is the landmark institute working in photovoltaics in India, funded by MNRE for the past 10, 15 years now. My role there was primarily industry academia collaborations. So to bring in research projects from various renewable energy companies in India so that they could work hand in hand with the faculty and students. So it becomes more relevant to what is going on. The research and academia should not be, industry and academia should not be too far. That was the goal. And last 2 years, I've been at MIT Pune. Here, similar roles, but I am working on interdisciplinary projects, not just solar, but other areas of sustainability also. Next. Yeah. So what I'm doing is interdisciplinary research in renewable energy with sustainable materials, technologies, different technologies for waste management, some wastes that are not handled at all currently, like those that are going completely into landfill. Those are the ones we're developing processes in labs. Then I have an area of interest or passion in agrivoltaics, where you combine the solar panels and also do crop production, agriculture. So then the training workshop is another part of my responsibilities, industry collaborations, and I'm also independent director at the renewable energy company with Narendra ji. All right, next.
Next slide, madam.
So climate change, that is the topic. I like to say that climate change is like a diet plan. Why? Because everybody wants to talk about it. There are so many options, do this, do that. But the key is no one wants to stick with it. Everyone wants to discuss what may or may not happen. But if you do stick with it, if you do follow, it does give you the results. That is what I would like to emphasize. So climate change is essentially long-term shift in temperatures across the globe. There are severe weather pattern changes that we've seen. You've seen extreme rain, very hot temperatures, very cold spells, no or excess rains, unpredictable rains. So that is climate change. There is, since this is such an important topic, there is a UN body called IPCC. Some of you may be already familiar, Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, which is the landmark institute or the apex institute which decides on how the climate change is assessed or the science behind it is decided by IPCC. Because climate change is something that not one can do and other cannot do. It has to be working for all the nations together. Hence, this UN body has put together methods to assess, to curtail it, and what are the targets that each each nation can put together. So, according to the research by IPCC and other the task forces, the key causes for climate change that, as we all know, it is us, the humans, who have caused this. If you take out the humans from the earth, everything will go smooth. But if you take out insects, things will collapse very soon. That is the idea. So, climate change has been caused mainly by the emissions of greenhouse gases, GHGs, which is carbon dioxide, methane, ethane, nitrous oxide, CFCs, etc., etc. They all can be termed into, like as you may hear, carbon, carbon, carbon. They all converted into number of kgs of CO2, but essentially it's a mix of all the greenhouse gases, which has primarily caused this climate change. Coming from industrial growth that has caused this pollution, then excessive use of resources, the too much generation of electricity from fossil fuels, the coal, oil, gas, and very rapid urbanization, which has caused this, because when there is a standard level of population with the natural surrounding, the ecology is such that whatever you remove from the forest and you give it back, it is in a cycle and it is balanced. But this rapid urbanization has caused deforestation, too many people, very less green cover, which has again been responsible for the climate change, excessive resource utilization, too much waste generation, and reducing the carbon absorbing forest, because this green cover is what is the sink for the carbon, and that has been destroyed. So again, you're going in a spiral. Industrial processes like the heavy industries, cement, chemical has been dumping all these gases and the other waste that we've generated. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
The impact of climate change, as we all are seeing it now, the rising temperature, the very frequent or infrequent intense heat waves, melting of the ice, and the rising sea level, which is threatening the coastal areas as the glaciers melt. Then extreme weathers like floods, droughts, hurricane, wildfires. Then we have also seen the biodiversity loss, which has caused certain species to be extinct, several others going towards the extinction or rare, and then the habitat destruction, which is because of this biodiversity loss. Health risk, all sorts of numerous new diseases that have come up, carcinogenic products are being dumped into the groundwater or the gases. And in turn, this is causing the insecurity, as you mentioned, the food and water scarcity, rightly. All this is again impacting our economic conditions, because when you have intense rains or unpredicted conditions, that damages or destroys our infrastructure, again reduces agricultural products and causing further inequality with the human conditions. Next, please. So there are ways to tackle this, and there are many solutions and mitigations. At least with all this, we should come to we may not be able to go back to where we were before industrialization, but at least to maintain it or not cause further damage at this speed is the goal. So what are the ways to mitigate this? First, of course, transitioning to renewable energy, which is non-fossil sources like solar photovoltaic, wind, hydropower, and geothermal. These are the renewable sources that should be more and more replacing the fossil fuel for electricity. Energy efficient methods, so same products, services can be converted to energy efficient products so that you're reducing your energy requirement. The buildings, green buildings, transportation, logistics also causes a lot. So transitioning to EVs, is another way. And industries which will take care of this renewable energy, using renewables or other, changing their processes and products with energy efficient ways. Other technologies of causing carbon, reducing the carbon is what is called CCS, carbon capture. So the carbon dioxide that is generated can be captured and used in some other way or stored. So CCS and CCUS technologies are coming up, which can tackle some of the carbon dioxide. Of course, reforestation, generating further green cover, will help naturally abating this. Sustainable agriculture. We think of agriculture as being the positive kind, but there are ways that agriculture is also causing environmental damage, because it generates certain methane or certain greenhouse gases, and soil erosion, water scarcity if it's not managed properly. So sustainable agriculture, which will reduce the emissions, which will reduce your resource consumption, is another way. Climate policies, of course, all the nations have defined their own targets and ways to mitigate this. Next slide, please. So some of the policies I want to mention briefly here that we've done in India. Back in 2008, the flagship climate change framework was introduced, which is called the National Action Plan for Climate Change, which has these 8 core missions. One, of course, we have all heard of the National Solar Mission, which came up with a bang, and we set up targets and goals. And I'm very proud to say that this was met very well and also exceeded. We exceeded. So because we started with a target of something like 20 gigawatt by 2020, way back in 2010. And by 15, we realized that we've done well. So we raised the bar. So we went further. So now the target is set at 100 gigawatt by 2030 and so on. And so that was one mission. The second one was enhanced energy efficiency, through which there are market-based mechanisms introduced, which can convert whenever you use products or processes that are more efficient, you get certain credits for it. Third was the sustainable habitat, through which we have green buildings or efficient or sustainable urban planning. All these missions had these committees and taking regulations which were implemented and have shown some results, and I'll discuss that in next slide. So some other out of those eight missions, the remaining ones are the water mission, which put regulations on the state levels that the water basins that are created have to be used efficiently. It cannot be that only one community benefits while so equitable use of water resources. That was another one. Sustainable Himalayan ecosystem in the last few years with the increasing tourism, we've had a lot of damage to the ecosystem in Himalayas. So protecting the glaciers and the biodiversity there is one of the missions. The Green India mission, which is afforestation, as increasing the green cover plants everywhere. National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. So this introduced climate resilient agriculture. So we make sure that the crop rotation or resource reduction happens in agriculture also. Then the strategic knowledge for climate change, which is my area of interest, where the research and data collection also has been enforced. So institutes like DST or SERB have to fund sustainable projects. So when they give funding to academic institutions, they make sure that every project has some sustainability aspect included in it. So that is another way. Next slide. So how has this impacted? What are the results? So or what are the targets that we have set? So back in 2015 in the Paris Agreement, India has committed that 45% reduction in the emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. Then we will achieve 50% reduction, 50% of the electric power converted to renewables by 2030, and more of these that I've listed. Net zero is another commitment to be reached by 2070. Net zero meaning no more emissions from anything, any product. Every human being, every product has a certain carbon footprint that we're generating. So what we're saying is we'll reach a net zero, and this is different than carbon neutrality. Carbon neutrality is when you generate something, but elsewhere you provide some abatement. That is, so what we're promising is a very ambitious goal here. And so, some of these goals and targets we've been very successful. And of course, there are a lot of challenges to be faced ahead. Next slide. So I just want to take one mission that India has been very successful that I'm very familiar with. For example, the National Solar Mission. And currently, I'm glad to say that we're number 3 in globally in the solar generation. We're reaching 73 or passing 73 gigawatt of solar photovoltaics. Environmental impact of this has been humongous reduction in the carbon emissions, something like 60 million tons of carbon dioxide from where we were before this. Social impacts, as we all know, the solar has created more than 2 lakh jobs directly, as well as several indirect jobs and entrepreneurships. Energy access to the rural communities and underserved communities due to the mini grids and many schemes like the solar pumps have benefited agriculturists. Then there was this Ujala for the clean cooking, Ujwal for the LED lighting. So it has been really impactful, I would say. Next slide. So slightly, instead of going into all those missions, now I'm going to talk about sustainability. So how sustainability is defined is that currently whatever we are doing, we have to meet the needs of the present without impacting the future generations to meet their needs. So that is essentially what sustainability is. And how it is integrated is with the environmental, social, and economic aspect. Sometimes you think that making a sustainable product or service or energy efficient would cost you more. It is expensive, so why go for that? But I think rather than looking at just the initial cost, the way it should be looked at is a life cycle cost. So life cycle means what are the raw materials into that product? How were they transported? What are the emissions because of that? How the whole usage of that happens? How the disposal of that happens? And that all together gives you a life cycle cost. Like you cannot compare just a disposable bottle with a cup. You have to see how many times that uses, what is the water, what is the content. So that is life cycle cost. So just from a research or technical point, we have been discussing sustainability in terms of life cycle costing also. Next slide, please. And so this has definitely helped in terms of environmental protection because you're reducing pollution, you're reducing the waste treated properly, resource consumption is reduced, you are using your resources very efficiently, and several economic benefits as the cost of the whole product is reduced, and social well-being because the quality of life and the impact on people's lives has also improved. And ultimately, the sustainability is important because it's our global responsibility, like the SDGs are
Correct,
defined
correct.
and how we get it. Next slide, please. So I just want to have 2-3 slides on what our
your
sustainability
institute,
focus of research has been. So we have multidisciplinary faculty that is working on different aspects like material science, chemical engineering, petroleum, and science, maths. Also work together with management, business, liberal arts, so that we focus and social sciences. So every research project has different areas of focus in that. Some of the areas we've worked on recently is nanomaterial development, which is for energy storage or energy generation using quantum dots or perovskites. Those kind of new materials have been are looked at. Biopolymers is replacing plastics or metals with things that you've extracted from jackfruit or bamboo, those kind of materials that are used for healthcare. We have also worked on some catalysts for efficient waste treatment. Second area of interest for me has been resource recovery and conservation, which is the solar panels that you see all over. There is no solution for its disposal. The end of life, 25 years, they're going to be dumped into landfill. And now that we are into such a huge amount of manufacturing, they're all going to be ending up, and what do we do with it? So we've come up with ways to use the solar panels, the separate materials from that, the metals as well as the glass from it in value-added products. So it's back into a circular economy. Similarly, you see thermocol, the styrofoam that comes with all the packaging, like with Amazon deliveries, you have those sheets. What happens to that? That is going to be burnt or in the landfill. So we've come up with ways of processes where it can be converted into benzene or some chemical that can be put back into the system. Then there is rice husk, which is thousands of tons of after the rice is removed. There's rice husk, which is a waste that we can extract silica from it, and silica has a lot of application and absorption, waste treatment, membranes, etc. Next. Next slide, please. We also have a center of excellence in electric vehicles. Then there is AI/ML application for air quality monitoring, carbon capture that I talked about. There are some petroleum engineers working on the carbon capture technologies. Then the life cycle assessment and water conservation is another area. And all this, we like MIT WPU has been very active in offering training workshops which are collaborative, like industry professionals or individuals can attend these 1 or 2 days workshop in sustainable construction or tunnel engineering. Just last week, we had Honorable Union Minister Nitin Gadkari visit us for the sustainable tunneling and construction. And that is a very unique area that not too many academicians are getting into, but it's the need of the hour. And the last one I wanted to mention here, because I think we have folks from ESG, which is the environmental social governance reporting, which is becoming a significant area of interest for a lot of companies now. Next slide, please. So the way we are offering ESG is in three types of models. We are offering 1-day ESG introduction workshop, which is mainly for those who are just coming new into it and want to know the definitions, the framework, the internal policy, etc. Next. Then there is a 2 or 3 days workshop. Next slide, please. Which is more for the heads and managers who can create the necessary reporting, data collection, disclosures that have to be put in, and how to do the teamwork for this. We have our interns and students who will also be working on this hands-on, and we kind of customize this depending on the size of the company, their interests, and whether they're doing it for a mandate or they're doing it out of their own interest. So it's all tailored to that. Next, and that's the last one. So we also have a capacity building workshop, which is for all employees. Again, depending on the sector, we can offer it as required. All right. Thank you. Any questions from the audience here?
We'll have
I'm
that
good.
later, madam.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to continue
Yeah.
then? Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And that's all I have.
Slightly
Sure.
later.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All right.
You be
Thank you.
sit down. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So all of you got a glimpse, that too from a very knowledgeable professor, and with her experience, research, and the various papers she prepared, she brought to you what is the overall climate change, what are the its implication, and what are the steps taken globally and in the domestic arena. But I am the view that unless our Prime Minister's program that is called Lifestyle for Environment, that means each one of us will have to commit ourselves in our own home. We have to conserve the water. We have to use those textile and other things which has a sustainability. We must avoid plastic no usages. We should get into the alternatives. So there are quite a lot. Our surroundings have to be kept clean. Most of the metros are having a big problem of waste disposal, and even in Bombay we find. And but who are contributed to that? The people themselves. So expecting government alone to do on climate change and all that, it is not a easy proposition. Even though government can show the way, government can provide the opportunity, government can little initiative, but the private sector and we as a responsible citizens, all of us will have to do. But the implication or the adverse impact is already visible. So if we delay, because the already India around 0.7 climate, what you call it, has already gone up. We are in the Paris agreement, we are thinking of 1.5 what you call degree, that is that. But if we don't do all that, it will go to 2 plus. So that being the case, now I will not delay, but the 15-20 minutes of our that we will send that presentation also to you. Now we have the second speaker, and she is also well learned and carrying the work of ESG as well as reporting and helping the corporate financial institutions, banks, most of them in providing for ecosystem, how that should be there and how their reporting has to be done. Swati Agarwal, she is the CEO and President of Care Analytics and Advisory Private Limited, CareEdge, and Mumbai. You know that Care again has got Care Analytics and Advisory. So her more than 25 years at Care Rating Group. Swati rose from Senior Director, Business Development and Regional Head to Helm CareEdge Advisory and Research and Training Vertical. Holding an MBA from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, she has led major credit evaluation and advisory mandates for PSU and the Ministry of Power. Known for combining strategic insight with social impact, she actively supports NGOs and senior living startup. She is based in Andheri, Mumbai. She frequently speaks at various industry forums, and not only that, she is very, very vibrant and active, and she has been supporting Enqube endeavors all along. And we are linked, will be associated. She is associated with us, and we will also seek her help in carrying the mission of imparting knowledge. And with this, the very important for all this, we need money. money is the most important to do all that work. So she's going to talk on green finance and ESG investing, and I give the forum to her. And meanwhile, please come. Opening start and subtitle here. And you can stay talk.
Yeah.
I will.
Very good afternoon, all of you. And thank you, Naren sir. Thank you, Enqube,
Yes.
for not only organizing this, but also inviting me and giving me an opportunity to, kind of talk on these subject matters which are close to our hearts, everybody's heart. And we just heard from Naren sir that it is the obligation. I will put it obligation. I mean, because all of us have a role to play in, doing our bit in towards protecting the environment, and therefore, this is a topic which is very important. And of course, while all of us as individuals can make a big difference, but from a stewardship point of view, it's actually the institutions, the corporates, who play a larger role. Because they are the ones who contribute what you could say maximum towards the greenhouse gas emissions. And yeah.
So, madam, in the overall, we had COP 29, and now we are going towards COP 30.
Right. So,
The one problem came last year. The requirement was South Global. No, they were asking 1.2 or 1.3 trillion dollars, but the committed amount was hardly 300 billion.
right.
Similarly, in the earlier COP, the loss and damages, again, that around 700 million only committed. So it has to be now they are moving that private sector means corporate and others, other than the multi level institutions, developmental assistance and aid, that there should be a private sector participation in terms of the finance, climate finance. Second, now the US, has also withdrawn from this particular initiative, and it is a big where we are now going to have the COP 30. So, in that respect, about the overall global scenario in the climate finance or available funds, and in the Indian context today, paper carried, India itself needs 1.3 trillion. So, how are we going to have, and is the ecosystem provides for this fund? That you can cover, madam. Now, first, you can cover anything, but I thought that is the first starting
point.
Yes.
No, you've raised a lot of, brought in a lot of viewpoints here, Naren sir. But let me start by saying that look, the funds requirement, or let's say the commitment that is required, undoubtedly, like you
High.
mentioned, is very, very high. And the commitment of the countries, or for that matter, the multilaterals, etc., is falling short of what is the requirement.
Yes.
Now, funds is one aspect. I think more than that, the intent is falling short.
Intent, yes.
So the intent, and if you have a large country like US, kind of having a flip-flop policy and, making its views known, where it wants to stand in this whole, climate transition. For that matter, some of them over there don't even want to acknowledge that there is a problem like climate.
Yeah, yes.
So, obviously that's very disheartening. Having said that, that doesn't mean that, if some of the largest economies are not participating, or are waiting and watching, or kind of looking the other way, the others are not. I think a lot of work is happening from the European countries and from the other
Yes,
countries,
European
including India. I think if you really look at it, I think India is one of the has recognized this very well. We are a country, came out with the NDCs, very clear, commitments under NDCs. We are the ones who have pushed for renewable energy.
Correct.
And, our adoption targets are also pretty much moving ahead of the time. And at the same time, we've taken the agenda of, development along sustainability.
Yeah, along with the sustain.
Yeah.
Correct.
So economic development along with, a sustainable path. And we are moving as a country. I think we are showing the right leadership under the Prime Minister, of course, and the other our
In
ministers.
fact, even the alternative energy,
Yeah.
the India's capacity built up is much
Much
higher
Yeah.
substantial.
So I think we're showing the right way. We're moving the right direction. Funds, I think funds is a combination of two things. funds will flow wherever there are returns.
Returns.
Now, so I think the larger objective also becomes is that are these projects as they mature, we've seen renewable energy as a classic case of an industry wherein, returns are commensurate or maybe better in a healthy way in terms of other alternate investments. So if you have more and more innovations, technology coming up, and therefore maturity happening in these industries, whether it is in the transition phase or whether it is in the adaptation phase or whether it is in the pure play deployment of new technologies, funds will flow in. I don't really see funds as funds is obviously a constraint, but too much of a constraint at this point of time. The funds flowing into projects. We need more and more.
How the major leadership takes it
forward is
and how even the corporate leader adapt that this social or what you call even environment related and the governance, how they take it seriously, then the fund is not a constraint. Definitely it will come. And now without those steps, corporates, even in the equity valuation also, the public at large, social, all of them will not accept a company which is adding pollution, which they will consider where they are taking mitigation measures. That's correct, no?
Absolutely.
Yes.
In fact, on that point, I will say, Naren sir, that if you really look at it, the larger companies are showing the way. The number of there was some data that came out that companies which have now incorporated physical risk as part of their
physical risk
as part of their disclosure mechanisms or as their risk mitigation is now almost 46% of the top listed companies. The top 1,000 anyway have to disclose a lot of data by virtue of BRS.
Listed companies, 1,000 all will have to do.
So a lot of, I think there is a lot of consciousness and a lot of actual work happening on the ground in terms of, innovative technologies, adoption of cleaner and low carbon means of manufacturing towards the same.
On a sustainable practices.
Absolutely.
Only that is another that globally that they say that some are claiming that they have gone for green asset, but the real impact of that sometimes very difficult to assess. So that they call that on the impact study when they do or whatever, sometimes there is a risk of greenwashing.
Absolutely.
So that has to be totally avoided. But that, as you rightly said, if the intention is good, specific projects are there, then naturally that aspect will never come. What are your views on that?
No, you're very right. You touched upon a very good point. I mean, in the garb of reporting and because you're supposed to report and show the numbers, greenwashing should not happen. Well, I think to that measure, the regulators are doing what they can. They have put third-party assurances, and it is the role and obligation of these third-party assurance guys to kind of really do what they're supposed to do or do their job in a professional
Proper.
Yeah. In terms of these impact studies, or for that matter, even the green finance that is raised, there are second party opinions that need to be provided. There are pre-selection while selecting the projects. There's a criteria. Post investment, there's a criteria. There are impact assessments to be done, and if they're done in the right spirit,
yes,
the
even now
instances of greenwashing should reduce, and
yes, that is
will it get eliminated? We don't know.
Similarly, like the social exchange.
Absolutely.
All the NGOs are who are coming under the guideline. They can get it listed and they can raise that fund.
Absolutely.
And there are organizations which does the social impact of that such project.
Correct.
So that similar mechanism has to be put in place.
Correct.
So that will help. But madam, you are also seeing the financial institution. This green deposit which the Reserve Bank has asked, that has to be given separately and kept for green assets.
Absolutely.
How that is picking up or just?
So that's a very good point, sir. I think RBI came up with this very clear green deposit framework. And if we really look at it, quite a few PSU banks also
have
initiated raised funds under this. We're very happy to say that CARE Advisory, in fact, we have done the
project.
We have done the assessment, the framework assessment of this green deposit frameworks as well as the deposit deployment assessments have to have a third party review mechanism. So we've been associated with about 7 8 public sector banks in doing these, including the likes of State Bank and Canara Bank and all.
So you find enthusiasm and
Yeah.
momentum inside.
Yeah,
There is a commitment.
Correct. So I'll say that obviously the schemes are there. Now they have to be popularized now, because as a normal, frankly, they they are not really incentivized in that sense, because
That's why the
that is-
public says the whole idea is, if I am a socially responsible, or I am responsible for maintaining the environment or all that, then I should be willing to give the deposit at a lesser cost. Whereas the other side is saying, if I'm giving green deposit, you have to give me higher return. That will not be possible.
Yeah.
So that is a generally mindset of our people. But similar thing happened, madam, that the government has been coming with the sovereign green bonds. So they raised last 2 3 years, and this year also they have. But slowly there was one news that what they found, that internationally they used to get at a margin of around, say, nearly 1%, whereas we were getting 0.3 only, the better rate or whatever.
Correct.
So the
Premium.
government feeling, if I am raising other bond and is sovereign, this green bond, then the difference is that what is the point in having that? But how do you find this aspect?
So these are any new product that comes in, right? The market takes, there are other nuances
Yeah,
which come into play. So the market takes a little time. So
time. That's correct.
So I think what you're referring to is the so-called greenium. Now I would say that it's, greenium comes with a little bit of time. Obviously, there will be a mismatch between the expectation, but end of the day, questions need to be asked. Should the investor be sacrificing the return because it's a green project? I mean, I think the project itself should be generating.
Money is from the public only.
Correct.
So it has to give a better return to that.
Correct.
So
So
naturally,
it
you
should
can't
be
have that
viewed
much
as-
difference there.
Correct. So the investor is an investor, right? I mean, unless of course they are driven by some other social objective in terms of, I mean, why would logically a rational investor want to take a lower return, right? So I think the market forces have to come into play, which will ensure that the projects itself generate a risk return reward, which is in favor of
That's correct.
favor of promoting these kind of instruments. Number two is, I think it's not just the greenium. I think it's also about liquidity. It's also about retail participation, and it's also about
Retail
tenures.
parts. That I agree.
Tenure. So you have these sovereign green bonds, but for a longer tenure, and market has an appetite in its own, of its own requirements. So that's how.
It will,
various
as we go
factors.
forward,
As
it
we go
will find
forward,
its own place there. Madam, that you were referring to this recently, SEBI has issued some new guidelines. Can you enlighten what are those?
So SEBI, I think in June first week or something, they came out with the regulations on sustainability bonds.
Yeah.
And essentially, if you really look at it, they have come up with a complete framework which will promote the whole sustainability or ESG bonds of the country, right? Now, in a way, what they have said is that, to ensure, if you really look at the sustainable, I mean, about 80-90% of it is about only green. So we all in our mind is, we know green bonds.
Yes.
But by including this, what you would say, inclusive framework, SEBI has kind of said that, sustainable bonds are permitted or enabled, I would say, which could have both a flavor of green and social. Because at times when you deploy, projects can have both an environment related objective as well as social objective. So that enables, so it gives a more leeway to the corporates. And also they have introduced sustainability linked bonds, and because of which now you can have target determined.
Sustainability linked bonds, correct.
So now over here, instead of, you can actually have the outcome linked to certain metrics and KPIs. So beforehand, if you disclose what are the kind of targets or KPIs for which you are aiming at, then these SLL bonds, sustainability linked bonds, become very good.
Will become popular.
Yeah. So L&T in fact raised it very recently that day itself when they immediately that day itself the World Environment Days when they released it, and similarly on the
Because
World
they are
Environment.
this type of known corporates will definitely do that project.
And this will set an example, and I think this will entice
And the others
entice
also.
the others. Because I
Only
think it's very-
from the other regulator, our Reserve Bank, that they issued the draft circular on disclosure and other things. They also asked the bank go ahead and do the what you call assessment, all that. And of course, they made a survey also. They found that time. It is quite a long time
2
later.
years, yeah.
But where is the status? Why this circular is yet to be issued? In the sense, this is actually warning to the bank that they should be ready. That way, you said 8 to 9 banks have already given you project also.
No, that is on the deposit side. But what you're talking
No,
about
not on the this
what you're
disclosure
talking about
and
the
other things.
disclosures now.
Of course, they are all listed. Most of the banks are listed. They are already disclosing. But in terms of the RBI circular in India, it is slightly delayed. Whereas, of course, some of the regulator elsewhere, European country, you said no.
Yeah,
That even carbon, what do you call that? Duty also they have.
CBAM.
So how do you find? Of course, this is on the maybe offing, I think. Correct, no?
Yeah. So I think the RBI obviously introduced or issued the draft disclosure norms for climate regulations.
Yeah, base and enhanced disclosure.
Yeah, enhanced disclosures, and I'm sure anytime they will come out with the final circular or the implementation of the circular. But we have to understand that irrespective of that, the banks are already incorporating. A lot of banks already have an ESG.
HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, State Bank of India.
RBL and all. In fact, RBL and I think one more bank, they've openly talked about that they will not be funding any of these high carbon sectors. And State Bank, of course, has been on record saying that every proposal above 250 crores, they do the ESG parameters.
Separately, they are asking questions on that, and they
banks have some framework or the other in place. Maybe RBI is obviously more intelligent than
they took the initiative.
Yeah, so.
But there was that is a national green one that committee there where our
NGFS.
NGFS that RBI also this year the conference was held in Delhi through RBI. RBI did, and all the countries have come. In that our governor's address, I saw he is saying that for finding green projects and all, banks have to have a capability and they have to have that necessary knowledge. So he has suggested that why can't we pool the knowledge?
Yeah.
Of course, that is again indirectly message to the lead banks to take the lead.
No, so I think that also has to be seen in the context that it's very important to have bankability projects.
Bankability.
Bankable projects.
Yes.
And in the enthusiasm of funding new projects and all, we should not shy away, or we should not overlook the required underwriting norms. So I think it must have been in that context that the governor is obviously, or the all the regulatory bodies are trying to get more and more data to be shared together, and it is in that context that you would have said that sharing of data should happen.
Yes. So my question is over. You have any concluding one or two words? Then we'll.
No, I think
it's a relevant point we have covered. But in the India, the Kotak Mahindra and say maybe SBI are. How many mutual funds have adopted this? They have a separate fund for ESG investing.
ESG funds are there. Yes, so I think there are about 11 mutual funds who have ESG fund, ESG
theme-oriented investing funds.
Yeah. Unfortunately or fortunately, it hasn't really grown over the last 2 years. That could also be a combination of the sectors, the sectors which are ESG, more high on the scores may not be the ones which give more market returns. It could be a combination of factors.
Correct.
So, but nevertheless, I think these are very right steps in the right direction, and our regulators, hats off to our regulators in terms of kind of pushing the whole green agenda.
So we have actually one general manager of IDBI banks, Chandrakant.
Okay.
Chandrasekhar Arya is here.
Okay.
And the next speaker is Ashwin Kumar Chaudhary,
Right.
Chief Risk Officer, no,
Yeah,
Union Bank of India. So then Mr. Kanwardhan, he is from ICICI Bank.
Okay.
So bankers are here.
Yeah, so let's hear from the
And
bankers.
he is
then.
also from Standard Chartered Bank earlier.
Yeah.
He now is the independent director, Mr. R. Shankar.
Okay.
Mr. Kamble is the Khadi Village Industry Commission. No, they do all the sustainable only.
Right.
Today,
right.
the textile ministry is taking
Right.
a lot of steps. And of course, Mr. Bhatt is there. He is
correct.
wanting to start an exchange.
Okay.
So then R. Kannan from the Hinduja is here.
Yeah. Okay.
So of course, Mr. Jitendra Nagpal,
Okay.
he's from the World Trade Center, New Bombay. So we have a family, of course,
Akhilesh.
Huh? Akhilesh, he is a technologist also here. So I think, friend, आपका ना? Yes, you are good friends. So all of them are been coming, and there are must be online also a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
No,
Be
thank
there.
you so much. Yeah.
Be there for some
absolutely.
time. So I will take up.
I will
for
going
the-
to listen to.
Yes.
some of the
Please be
bankers.
seated. I will just talk to the next speaker. So thank you, Swati ji. आपका always आपका सहयोग और हमारा relation will go very strong in terms of knowledge sharing. And she covered with her rich knowledge all the global, domestic, as well as corporate and financial institution. Now we have my good friend Ashwini Kumar Chaudhary. He is the Group CRO, Union Bank of India. He is going to talk on how the question that we talked, how banks are going to support sustainability. And Ashwini Kumar Chaudhary has worked in Tata Group also. He has worked various other organizations and more than 24 years in the banking and NBFC space. And he joined Union Bank sometime in May 2023. And from that day onwards, there have been a lot of action, even on the ESG area. And they are the first to take up the lead in engaging the overall, advisory, as well as the technology and other things, and which are maybe on the way of implementation. So with this, I'm very happy that Ashwini Kumar is here, and he has worked also in Bank of Baroda, HDFC Bank, HSBC. Ashwini ji, आप फॉरेन
Yes.
पब्लिक सभी है और प्राइवेट में भी थे, टाटा, one of the
Yeah.
Purchase Group.
Yeah. Right.
So with this, I leave it to your wisdom to cover from the overall banking space, particularly on this particular area of sustainability, climate change, then assessing the risk, and how are all prepared, and what is the action point. Please, now forum is open to
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Narendra sir. And it is always nice to be part of any program which is hosted by you, and the quality of content what I have seen. I was part. I was hearing both Sarita and then later Swati, and coverage was very relevant and very useful. Narendra sir, just can you confirm I'm audible, right?
We are hearing freely,
Okay.
no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sir, when we talk about anything on ESG, banks play a very important role. Reason being, bank drives a significant part of economy through funding and by raising liabilities. So it is a very fulcrum of economic growth within any country. And while doing so, ESG becomes important. Now, ESG, when we talk anything about ESG, there are multiple guidelines which are in place. Guidelines are from regulator like RBI, SEBI. Then there are guidelines from NGFS and then other global agencies. So there are multiple guidelines are there because different institutions are at different level of maturity. And being at different maturity level, you can't have uniform guidelines for everyone. So that's why many of the guidelines are generic in nature. And their role of banks become even more important. Then how do you adopt all those things in practice? And the way you are going to define your ESG practices, that can create a lot of difference within the bank and overall for the country. Because guidelines will ask you to do something, but there is a lot of scope to do beyond that. We are funding to different segments of borrowers. They are different in size, they are into different business activity, and while doing this kind of funding, we are definitely exposed to both physical risk and transition risk. As a bank, we are very sensitive in assessing the level of risk to which we are exposed to. We are very closely assessing physical risk being caused by flood or cyclone or any other natural disaster event. And we are, in fact, we have done portfolio segmentation basis different level of physical risk, and then how much of our branches, how many of our branches, and how much of our portfolio is exposed to those risks. That becomes a starting point, because unless you start assessing you and you know the level of risk within the bank, any action will not be very fruitful. So that assessment becomes the first stage. Even more important for bank like us is assessing transition risk, because we very significant portion of our lending is towards industry, corporate houses, and then what kind of practices they follow, that becomes very relevant for reducing carbon emission for for the country and for the globe. Now we as a bank, we are taking exposure to different segments. That includes thermal power project, that includes steel sector, then that chemical sectors, fertilizer sectors, which cement sector, which is generally considered to be like high emission segments. Now, how do you first understand this risk? How do you start assessing this risk? And then what is the transition plan which these corporate houses are going to take, and how banks can play a role in that transitioning plan? Now, as a bank, what we are doing, we are meeting various corporate houses to understand their preparedness towards this transition plan. Now, we have done scenario analysis that if any company, like if there are 30 companies in iron and steel sector in our portfolio, if they are required to move to low carbon emission technology under different scenario, what will be the impact, financial impact on those companies in terms of debt servicing metrics? And there are scenarios can be if you are required to do transition on very urgent basis, that in next 2 to 3 years you need to transition, or you have a certain timeline of 5 year or 10 year to transition. So under different transition scenario, what is the impact of what is will be the impact on your debt servicing metrics? That assessment becomes very important. And then the same dialogue has to happen with the corporate houses to understand their plan. And then once both banks and corporate houses come on the same page, because you also need to maintain profitability, you cannot have a very disruptive transition. So transition has to be a very orderly transition, but at the same time, you don't have huge time to transition. Like you can't wait for 10, 15 years in the name of orderly transition. So there has to be transition, but it has to be very balanced. And as a bank, we need to engage with our corporate house customers, and that we are doing through formal, informal channels. Lot of sensitization is being created. We have also done portfolio, like as I told you, say portfolio scenario analysis under different scenario. What will the impact on profitability? And we at a very highest level, these are getting discussed and deliberated so that plan can be prepared. We as a bank, I think the next step is assessment of your funded emission. Whatever emission is being caused by the portfolio which we have funded, because unless you start assessing, you will not be able to decide on net zero eventually whenever you want to achieve. So the first step, what we did for our entire portfolio, what is the emission caused by our share of funding. And that we have done for entire corporate book, retail book, agri book, MSME book, entire book. Now, when we are doing this, there is data quality issue. Now, data quality, as all of us know, ranges from 1 to 5. 1 being the highest quality of data and 5 being the lowest quality of data. And one is possible when any company is disclosing carbon emission for their entity, and that emission is being audited independently by third party. That's a quality level 1 data. Hardly this kind of data will be available for few entities, but now that has started happening, and some of the entities have started sharing that kind of data also. But then a lot of data will be coming under level 2, where companies just disclosing, and then level 3, level 4, and level 5. When you move to level 3, 4, 5, those are based on a lot of assumptions. And as a bank, we have partnered with various expert agencies who are helping us in creating those kind of assumptions to have a right kind of assessment. In fact, we have done this assessment for last 3 years, for FY23, FY24, and FY25, and we are trying to see where are we as of now, so that we can have a transition plan for next 5 to 10 years, and then we will not go to achieve net zero for our funded portfolio in short term to medium term, but at least we should be trying, and we are making effort to reduce this number year on year. To do that, we have to change our portfolio mix. And portfolio mix, as we earlier speaker also talked about, a lot of focus being given towards renewable energy, that we have also given, and we have funded large portfolio under this segment. We are also targeting some of the other sectors like EV, green home, then energy efficiency, waste and water management. And for some of these portfolios under retail and MSME segment, we are also trying to give some kind of pricing advantage, so that maybe this is a very notional kind of advantage, 5 to 10 basis point, but we are trying to incentivize our customers to go for this kind of sustainable way of operation. For example, any entity who are trying to develop the captive solar power plant, we will be there. We have a scheme where we will be exclusively funding that solar rooftop or ground mounted solar for that entity for self consumption, and that is being offered at a very competitive rate. That will help the entity in moving towards sustainable and lower carbon entity achieving that target.
Yeah.
For corporate entity, we have also started in certain way of ESG assessment, and ESG scorecard is the next step which we will be moving towards. Whenever we are funding any big project or big term loan we are considering, what we are doing ESDD assessment, environmental and social due diligence assessment, that we have started selectively for certain set of projects, but eventually our plan is to make it more widespread and do it for maximum number of projects. But we have started it well. Wherever we are having capability, in-house capability, we are doing that. Whenever we feel that we need capacity enhancement, we are taking support of external agencies also, in terms of outsourcing some of the activities, also developing our own expertise. We, as you might be aware, sir, that we have created a good team, and they have
very good team.
With lot of capacity building exercise we have done in last 1.5 years, and going forward, we are trying to do the same capacity building across other departments of the bank as well.
They are also credit and all.
Credit, procurement team, because a lot of procurement and all those things are relevant for the bank, and there also we need this kind of knowledge. So if you look at from this, I was talking from asset side. On liability side also, we are making a lot of efforts in terms of raising green deposit or raising money through green bonds. Although green bond is yet in pipeline, but we have intention to, and we have board approval also in place. So we have intention to raise money through green bond route, and we understand the requirement of auditing of all those funds, and then the deployment of those funds towards renewable energy or like sustainable financing, and
Yes.
that framework has been put in place. We already have green deposits, so that induced verification and all those things are being done. So framework has already been assessed, and that, as Swati was also suggesting, that has independently verified by third party. So we have one agency
Ah,
who have already verified that framework. So a lot of effort bank is taking, both from asset side and liability side. Wherever possible, we are trying to incentivize customers, but at all places that incentivization is not possible. For example, we were debating that green deposit. Can we offer higher rate? That is not possible. Lower rate, yes, that is the more feasible option to offer. But as a depositor, there has to be willingness to keep deposit even at lower rate, which if it is green. So what is the advantage borrower depositor is going to get? I think if they can understand the advantage they're getting, because benefit is not directly coming being attributed to that entity. Benefit is coming for the economy as a whole. So how do you incentivize any borrower or depositor for some benefit which is being accrued at larger level? So that is a thought, and that is a sensitization we need to create across our customers, so that they are adequately incentivized not to ask for any concession for this kind of like green funding or green deposit
correct.
on either side, because that is not sustainable. Ultimately, you have to, it all this has to become self-sustainable when we're talking about sustainability. Additionally, the bank, we have also taken a lot of efforts in reducing our scope 1 and scope 2 emission. And for that, like, we are trying to move towards solar rooftop projects where we are procuring power through solar project. We are also moving through little greener kind of procurement. So at procurement department also we have sensitizing, we are making a lot of plans. We are making plans to reduction in paper usage. We are reducing over month on month. So that's a plan. So and any procurement which we are going to do now onwards, we are thinking from green side, sustainability side. It should not be just blanket purchase of anything. So that is another dimension we have added while procuring anything. So, and all these things are getting discussed at the highest level in the bank. So ESG reports into risk management department, and risk management departments, as we know, updates risk management committee of the board, and through that it goes to the board. So all these deliberations happens at the board level. That helps the entity in creating awareness across different departments.
Correct.
So whatever effort is being taken, that does not remain isolated at one unit. That has to be integrated across various divisions. And hence, when we talk about ESG steering committee, which we have created, where we invite people from credit, finance, treasury, SSD. So all these teams become part of that ESG steering committee, and
Yeah.
then that helps us in taking decision, which
There is
is
a integrated approach by all of them getting into the wherever they can contribute for reduction of the what you call green gas emission or our utilization of electricity or in everywhere, as you said, and also adapting solar. It is a really good attempt actually. Sometime back when I was the ED of the Bank of India, our 100 rural branches we did on solar. Those days, 2008.
that was a
So there
great
is a
great
good
initiative.
opportunity. So that is correct. Thank you. You have nicely put forward that because I consider Union Bank has taken the lead in respect of that, along with the other bank. And as you rightly said, you have a capable people in terms of the what you call various your team members, and you have strengthened also. Similarly, corporate sector, you have made a study as to how they are taking the initiative, and you have formal or informal discussion with them. Then mainly like chemicals, steel, cement, this type of sector, when we are funding, we have to take extra care because they actually, I saw in today's paper also, these are the two sector where India has to take further steps to reduce the emission, for which they need that 1.3 trillion US dollar in terms of the overall, for achieving our climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. Thank you, Ashwin ji. And you be there in a course of time.
Yeah.
If there are further time, I will be interacting with you. So now,
Sure.
thank you very much. Now we have Dr. Ajay Singh. He is the Associate Director from Indian Business School, ISB at Hyderabad. And he has been a very knowledgeable and a very fine gentleman, and he has received honor everywhere, both domestically and globally. He holds a PhD, MBA, and postdoctoral fellowship in social marketing from ISB Hyderabad. He is an associate director, board member. Of course, he has joined a big company, number one company in terms of the IRB infrastructure and developers as a board member. And he has delivered over 1,000 days of training across top Indian corporates and public sector bodies. And being that in the infrastructure sector, we requested him that he should cover, and he also volunteered for PPP for water and renewable infrastructure. So all of you are aware that India has taken the lead in public-private partnership, and there have been quite a lot of improvements wherever required, concession period, various issues were there, which later got improved. And in the same where our SAB is there, not the Telangana, as well as I think Hyderabad, they are adding one more P aspect to that. That is people, public-private partnership along with the people. The project and all, anything, it should come from the ground level requirement. So that is a very good, particularly Chandrababu Naidu has taken that and he has started implementing also. So with this, Dr. Ajay ji, we would like to hear from you for next 15 minutes, PPP for water and renewable infrastructure. Ajay ji, aap hai? Madam? Shilpa?
Yes,
Yeah, Ajay has joined. Dr. Ajay. Just see, you can make it.
Ajay Singh.
Yes, Dr. Ajay Singh.
Yes.
Please give him power
Yeah.
to that unmute. Yes, sir. Ajay ji.
Yes, sir.
Please do, sir. Yeah. Your
So-
address. Oh, nice. Very nice. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
yes.
first of all, good evening and good evening to everyone. My name is Dr. Ajay, and I'm thrilled to be here today evening. I'm very excited to share
Yes,
some
sir.
insight with you on the PPP on water and renewable infrastructure.
Yes.
So, you all are aware that every drop makes a difference.
Yes.
And how it is that, let's see, go back and some history about that. India's water crisis in 2025 is rapidly intensifying, with many major cities faces the crisis and consequences. From Bengaluru water crisis to Chennai drought in 2025, we have seen same water scarcity we can see in Delhi. The situation is alarming. So we have to gear up. It's a responsibility for everyone, each individual who have to take a commitment and work together. This is the mission we have to work on that. It is not only through the PPP we can achieve, but until unless we'll take as a mission. A few numbers from the World Bank highlights the plight the country is facing. 163 million Indians lack the access of the safe drinking water. And we are very fortunate that we have the safe drinking water. 210 million Indians lack access to improved sanitation. 21% of the communicable diseases are linked to the unsafe water. So we say India or Bharat 30 or 70%, but in India, just 8% of the groundwater extracted in mean for the drinking resources and the purpose, while the majority of it talk around 12 to 15% it utilized for the industrial needs of the country. The composite water management, if you talk about the index, which by the Niti Aayog just published, has raised the concern about India water crisis, highlights over more than 600 million individuals are currently growing and grappling the severe water shortage. So the question is coming, why PPP? Because PPP has in common in urban utilized sector, except in the area of water, which is we have seen that every sector we are talking, whether with the energy or for the road, or we are talking about the banking, everywhere PPP is working. But now time has come for the water management for the PPP, with most of the state government is coming together and working on that. Rural India is exceptional. Within the limitation of the state and central government, you can see that reach of the funding is a main source, and the resilience between the adaptation and collaboration, the model has to be worked through the academician with the different stakeholder, or through the bankers, or through the CEOs or private player and public sector. Some socio-economic and cultural issues in rural area is continue to dominating the function of water management. Some key aspects we can talk about the ownership. Who is going to take the ownership of the saving the each drop of the water? Performance monitoring, regulation of the water, operation continue to dominate the prevent the pure private partnership. So hence the introduction of this PPP is very, very crucial and important for the water management and resource. If you can talk about the same, look at how the country is happening. So despite this economic progress in India, since the start of the 21st century, what we are talking, the rural-urban divide remain in a stark reminder of the growth has not been equitable. One area has stand still is the stunned progress sanitation across the sector and water management. The situation is worse in India, especially in the rural area, once we are going to talk about that. The water management situation, especially is the rural area, what you are talking, the sewerage, especially the network across the rural, has been going worse and worse. So the lack of the access to safe water lead to the health burden, we are aware with that, which also take the next step how the bond with the rural, the diseases, risk of the disease and other associated issues we can easily figure out. Even after more than 75 years of independence, millions of adults and children in rural areas are affected by the waterborne disease. Government is trying. Uttar Pradesh is working very hard. You see, decades back, especially the example I can quote with the Gorakhpur, where Honorable Chief Ministers belong from Uttar Pradesh. You see, the waterborne disease was this spreading like anything. But we must thank him how the work he has done. Now the reduction has been just, you can say, is very, very minimal. So that kind of the work has to be started by the leaders, and they think as a mission. So it's very, very important, and the benefit what we are just understanding and this unlocking with the PPP, because unless the collaboration of the PPP with the financial, technical, operational, risk management, or equity-based shares, foster mobilization of the large scale of investment, which has to come together and work with that. And it has to come from the top to bottom. Everybody has to think. Now the time has come. Can we work like the road sector? We are working this PPP, like the IoT model, BOT model? Can we do? Can we bring something, the monitoring system, by using the AI driven predictive maintenance of the water system? Can we further optimize the water system is basically water recycling, desalination plants, acquiring the research project, or private investment. So these are the long-term value and proposition. I can just bring this as one example. Guys, everybody is aware that technically almost 95% of the Indian rural population has access to the water supply infrastructure through state government and through state investment. However, the reality is the most of the infrastructure is not in the use. So the question comes, the sustainability and economics has to go hand in hand in different part of the country and understand the different resources and the limitations. The population has traditionally viewed water as a free resources. Look at in the area, rural area, the people say, this is my right to get the free waters, which is not true now. And the time has come that people should understand how long you can exploit the surface and groundwater. We have to pay for something another way, because you cannot extract everything from the environment. Over a period, we have to pay the price for that. The growing population has led to the situation where you can see the per capita availability of the water has slipped below the 3000 of 1700 cubic meters as for the United Nations statement. They are talking with that. So the situation is going to worse and worse until unless we are coming and working together. I can, a small case study, I will talk about the how the SM Sehgal Foundation joined hand with the SDFC Bank. They take the example of the one districts of the Haryana, which is the basically district Mahendragarh. What they come together, they start with the rain harvesting is having the positive impact. How it's started with that. The Narol is a district, Narol is a village in the Mahendragarh district in Haryana, is well known for farming and development of agriculture. So at that region, they understood the water crisis is happening. So the groundwater was what is happening is depleting the rapidly and affecting the livelihood of the residents. Then they come together and they start with the Johad, like the Kacha Talab. And this project was aiming to bring the positive change, has increased the water table in the region, and with we see the lot of changes, what we call like the parivartan. The local said at the time, now you can go and ask to the people that they have been waiting for water for the long tankers, but now because creating and building this Kacha Talab, they have the surplus water. The cattle, because earlier the cattle were thirsty. Now you see the lot of changes is happening. So what I see, I'm just giving you one example. If SM Sehgal Foundation and SDFC Bank come together, and nowadays we know very well about the PPP models, and especially like the any corporate organization for the PSU or the public-private sector, the 2% CSR fund is available.
Yes.
Right? If this is the time has come, take and adopt a village or a districts. It's a responsibility for individual. And I can just talk over here what I'm just doing. I come from Banaras, Kashi, and in my village, the same problem was happened. And let's say the population is around 500 people. We come together. I say, hey, not Dr. Ajay Singh is going to fund everything. This is the fund required for the 10 lakh rupees. I can contribute 1%.
Yes.
But I want there should be 100 people come together. So then what is happening? Then it is the ownership. It is
Ownership.
just money giving, sir. And now people feel, hey, this is the ownership, and what we have created, that is 100 people together. So 3 days you have to take care in a year about this pond. You select the day. In the month of January, 3 days, or month of February, 3 days, but you have to go and see basically this pond, and then you submit this report. Believe me, this phenomenal change is happening. So it is the public partnership is very important, and people has to see their own ownership, sir.
Correct.
What we also did, sir, small things we will just basically build again, this like the drinking water. So the drinking water, just tap, and then the structure we have created. We say, hey, now responsibility of the individual. You can get the same aqua water, but you have to pay 10 paisa. It is not a free. You can take 10 liter of water, but you have to pay a 1 rupees.
Yes.
People are now feeling, because everything is not a free of cost, but once its ownership come with the public, and that's really not, sir, what you are talking in Telangana, it is all about the public. You see,
Correct.
nowadays it is very fascinating if you come to Hyderabad and you
Yeah.
see on the road construction is going. So the government is just the placard is there that is mentioning that your tax money is on the road.
Ah,
It is not the government money, it's your money on the tax. Whatever you
yes.
have paid, the road construction is going. So you feel,
Correct. Your own construction is going on.
yes,
Correct.
you feel that is you have given the money.
Correct.
So then you make sure that road should be always neat and clean.
Correct.
That is what we have to work on, sir.
That's correct. 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 So that is where recently I saw in TV,
Yeah.
NDTV shown in Gujarat, because rain is scarce there sometimes in some
Correct.
pockets. So the villagers themselves together made a big rain harvesting, and that has ensured that the entire command area getting very much fertile with the growth. So in terms of the water, because even in a place like Delhi now, the underground water has gone so deep.
Yeah.
There will be a situation if the Yamuna river or whatever supply, all that become dry, the whole Delhi will not have water. Delhi depend on the NCR region. So there is a need wherever such pockets where when there is excess rain, it gets completely wasted. So it is high time, like in Tamil Nadu has followed quite a long time, that the rain harvesting is compulsory. Yes. That is a project there. And one more thing, in Bangalore and in so many places, earlier used to have a very lake, lot of lake used to be there. In the pursuit of construction, all these lakes were all closed, and on that buildings have come. Now that is the reason when heavy rain, you get water logging also. Apart from that, it has a problem when you don't need water, you don't have lake. So some of the places, all the water sources, government has taken so as to preserve. So there is a necessity in the village level, in the urban area, in the metro area, everywhere, as you rightly said, Dr. Ajay. And because when each one contributes, they know the importance of that. The ownership model leads to preservation and what you call usage, and they may not be what you call destroying the source, or even wasting the water, because water is very precious. And that is where I told that Chandrababu Naidu came with the idea that PPP, you should add people.
Correct.
And you clearly sold that tax money or the government doing, it is their own money. So even all our MLA MPs get fund. Now that fund, when they are doing a project, it has to also have the people participation.
True.
Otherwise, they give 2 crores where the project is 10 crores. It will not be possible and they will do, and that gets washed out. So whether in infrastructure or in water or renewable energy or in any, even there are traditional source of power can be developed in the rural area also. Not necessarily and of course, all the electrical vehicles and other things, because now it will become necessity. तो थैंक यू अजय, डॉक्टर अजय जी, ये हमारा शुरुआत है. आगे आगे आपको और भी हम इन्वॉल्व करेंगे, और हमारा एनक्यूब कोलैबोरेशन एंड आपके इंस्टीट्यूट में भी कोई मौका है तो वी विल कम देयर, एंड अलोंग विद द lot of resource people are available in Bombay, so Bombay people will have to come and give a good lecture. Of course, you go into the global also, but we will come there. Thank you very much, and be there, and if depending on your convenience. Now I am calling. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So give a clap to all of the speakers once. You will also have hearing. So we have a good number of people here also, sir. All of them have come to hear all of you. So now we have the next subject, circular economy and corporate waste action. Again, this is Ranjini Varghese, CEO of Right Canvas. She is going to cover this. And Ranjini has been known to me also for the last 3-4 years. And we honored as the outstanding leader in the ESG. And she also spoke on our Indian Merchant Chamber on the ESG aspect. Her experience has been more than 24 years, and she curates various programs on ESG, and she has also taken ESG initiative globally, and particularly in the developing or less developed countries. So ESG, sustainability, and content strategy. She founded this Right Canvas to offer ESG content services and supports climate resilience initiative. She is published, right? She is a published writer and so many articles and active speaker and on inclusivity and net zero. So with this, can I call, give a big hand, Ranjini Liza Varghese. Yes, madam. Now, 15 minutes आपका है.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Enqube. Good evening, everyone. So, as sir mentioned, this topic which is given to me is circularity and corporate waste action. Of course, circularity, the term has been in the air, I would say, for the last couple of years. But the action towards that has started only in the last probably 2 or 3 years. But from the time a decade we are talking about sustainability, it took at least half a decade to come to, something like circularity. So it is like if you're taking a 10-year period, it started with sustainability as a topic. Then we started talking about ESG, and ESG started creeping into the conversations. And now we are talking about circularity. So the journey has been, I would say, very interesting. But the data which I am having may not be that impressive when it comes to circularity.
शुरुआत है.
Yeah. As you all know, for the World Environment Day,
Yes.
we had, ending plastic pollution globally as the theme. And UN has been consistently talking about plastic pollution. 2018 also they had a team. 2023 also they had a team. They are talking because plastic pollution probably is the more visible, waste which is creating problem, which is also creating problem in the marine life, because whatever you are littering on the land is ending up in the water bodies, and it is ending up in the ocean maximum. The smaller, like water bodies you have nearby, the cleaning is much more easier. Ocean, it is much more difficult. And in 2024, for the first time in the Indian shore, we had plastic rocks, which is found in Andaman shore, which is actually alarming. And as per the latest data, the study shows that we consume almost 5 grams of plastic in a week, which is which is probably the weight of your credit card. So that is the latest study, which will still, the studies are going on. Interestingly, plastic, we say it is difficult to disintegrate, but from the time it is produced, it starts disintegrating. That means if you have a water bottle, the plastic gets mixed with water. That is how we are talking about the consumption of 5 grams per week. So when we say it doesn't disintegrate, it actually disintegrates from the time it is produced. So with plastic, I will move on to circularity.
Yes.
Yeah. So India's waste scenario, I'll start with waste. So currently we produce around 62 million tons of waste annually, and which is projected to be 165 million tons by 2030, and which will go up to 436 million tons by 2050. That means we are probably having multiple, jumps in next 20 years or 25 years. And more than 50% of this waste produced, it ends up in the landfill. And we recycle around 30% of the produced waste.
Mind me, like, I'm talking about only the collected, waste. I'm not talking about the waste otherwise. I'm talking probably this data is on the municipal solid waste, which we normally see as collected and segregated or addressed by the, government entities or the private parties per se. In addition to this, we produce around 150 million tons of construction and demolition waste annually, of which only 1% is recycled. Plastic I spoke about. We produce around 52 metric tons of plastic waste in India. 43% is litter. Balance is either burned, collected, or recycled. But overall percentage, India recycles only 9% of plastic. But in some cases, in case of a PET bottle for that matter, the percentage of recycling will be higher because there is a process in place, the waste collection and recycling. Interestingly, the data shows e-waste. 70% of the e-waste produced in India is recycled. That's the only segment probably we have a better, standing. When it comes to circularity, globally, we probably, use 66.9% of circular material now, which can be increased if, we take proper measures. But it's sad that current rates is at 6.9 because in 2018 we were at 9.1. So there is a decline happened in circular material use globally. So that means we need more actions. So, as per the studies, right now we probably use, recycled material for 3%. The size is very minuscule,
very less.
very minuscule. So this can increase to double digit very easily if everybody, all the policies which is in place gets into action and implemented properly and monitored properly.
But is the reuse is a costlier affair or how?
The problem now is like we are talking about it, but for example, if I throw something in the, I segregate my waste. I'll give you a classic
All
example.
society have got.
Yes.
But really they don't follow.
But the municipal corporation sends one single truck.
Yes.
And everything gets dumped into together.
Yeah.
So what is the point of segregation? Everybody, then, the society watches it for, say, 2 months. And the waste collector, the guy says like, why are you doing it, ma'am? Anyway, मैं एक ही इसमें dump कर रहा हूँ.
सबको साथ में कर दो.
सबको दे दो, एक साथ दे दो. So that is what I said. Monitoring is necessary. Until and unless we do monitoring, it will not happen. So if you really follow the 3R principle, that is reuse.
There is also another. These waste, when they are thrown, these animals, cow, or all of them may also consume this plastic, all other things.
Absolutely.
That will affect their health also, and that milk we are taking.
Absolutely.
और बच्चों को भी हम वही मिल्क देते हैं, गाय का दूध. But गाय का दूध भी ऐसा तकलीफ में आया तो कैसा होगा? Please continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So if we really implement the 3R principle, we will save around 11% of GDP by 2030. It is possible. And
because that is one important thing. The climate risk is going to reduce the global output by 10%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, if you reuse all these and all, that can be what you call means it can compensate.
Yes.
Please.
So that can be increased to 30% by 2050. So we are talking about 11% at 2030, which will go up to 30% by 2050. That will also reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 44%. So it's like a huge number which we are talking about. And what are the market projections? By 2050, India's circular economy is expected to reach 2 trillion. That means this can create almost 10 million jobs by 2050. So we are talking about huge numbers, huge benefits. But where do we start? That is the problem. The monitoring, we have the policies in place. For example, National Resource Efficiency Policy, NERP is there. We have more focused plastic waste management rules, e-waste management rules, EPR in place. Everything is in place, but implementation is lacking. So what are the challenges India is facing? One, waste management sector is fragmented. So that has to,
Waste management?
sector is fragmented.
Fragmented.
Yes.
Correct.
So
Not
you have,
organized.
yes. So you have to increase the involvement of informal sector, because waste management is more about informal sector. You have to bring them into the formal, segment. So that is the first challenge we have. We have infrastructure challenges because, as I said, collection, segregation, monitoring, processing, everything is a issue there. Still, there is policy gaps that every one of us knows. The most important problem or challenge we are facing is promoting behavioral change.
Behavior change.
This is one thing which all policymakers, I would say, because more awareness programs needs to start. I have heard indoor, when the waste collection lorry comes in, there is a music being, played.
That is a cleanliness city. Number
Cleanliness,
one.
yeah. So it attracts people, and when the music is played, they know that the truck is coming. You come out with the, then offload it. And that city probably has a very clear segregated waste collection in place. One, we always talk about municipal waste collection or municipal waste management. What about water and air? Air is not about, gas emissions alone. It is about pollution of, the construction pollution for that matter. It's about how do you, focus on all three elements. Solid waste is one. Again, gas emissions, methane gas emissions from the landfill. That's also a huge, huge problem which we are facing now, especially in Delhi areas. The number of, lung-related health issues have gone up in Delhi. One is the, pollution which we are talking about, but there is amount of methane gas emissions as well. Now I'll come to the corporate action. There are brilliant work happening by certain segments of, corporates. One, as part of compliances, more initiatives have been, put in place. I can give you an example from ABFRL, the textile company. They have put in a system to track, a shirt from factory to the, counter to the landfill. So now they know what is the life cycle of that product, whether it is being thrown into the landfill immediately after, say, 3 months, within 3 months, within 6 months, within 6 years. So there is a tracking system being put in. Cipla, I was interacting with Cipla, and they said they have reduced the landfill up to 90%. So there is circularity in place. So if they can bring it down to 90%, that means others corporates also can bring it. This I'm quoting because I had interacted with Cipla. Godrej Properties is another example which I liked because they are implementing a waste management program called Neighborhood Waste Management Program. And it's a decentralized solid waste management project in Konark, Odisha. So that is another thing, the corporate getting involved with the society and, addressing the waste problem. So where do we go from here? As I said, that involvement of informal recycling to the formal segment is the first step as an action plan. Second, we need tech-enabled waste management system. I stay in New Bombay, which has got a control room where they track all the movement of the vehicles. And they do have a system, where they collect the dry waste on certain days, wet waste on certain days. So because of the control room and the dashboard, the commissioner sitting in his office can actually track what is happening in his, under his jurisdiction. So that is the kind of technological improvement for waste tracking, collection, and processing is what is required from our side. Infrastructure development for maybe composting, biomethanization plants. These are things which the corporates can talk about. We need to start talking about circular product designs. Right now, we are talking about retrofitting, or beyond that, we need to start talking about circular product design, probably focusing more on recyclability and reducing material consumption. And last point is it is a continued effort from the policy makers, technology, plus all of us as a community.
So what I was telling,
Yeah.
Mr. Kamble knows,
Yeah.
Khadi village industry. These are all rural craft, rural
Yes.
people. So whether in waste management and converting them into a particular product and all, our self-help group or women or some of them, if they are empowered, so I think they would not have seen this as a commercial activity. If it is a possibility there, that could be the one they could promote. What you feel?
Sir, I'll give you
Or
example.
with the government subsidy or assistance.
So I'll give you an example from the state of Kerala. So they have a plastic recycling, factory set up under the government of Kerala, and people from the self-help group comes to your house on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and which depends on the panchayat and the ward, how much population you have, how much plastic waste you generate in a week or a month. So this person who is coming for the collection is paid by you on a minimal amount. So monthly, I think it's 25 rupees or 50 rupees for the person who comes and collects it from your home. This plastic, through a supply chain, is transported to the recycling plant near Trivandrum. So the government of Kerala has a tracking in place that, okay, this is the kind of waste or plastic waste generated. This is a system in place. This also generated income for
That
self-help
self-help group.
So this is a kind of initiative which can be easily adopted.
And
If you end up paying you are able to pay extra 5 rupees to buy a bag, plastic bag at times, and then the same amount is probably translated in paying for recycling it.
and
So-
convert you and Bank of India and our IDBI should take up this as the priority sector. Reserve Bank should consider this waste management, circularing, or all that as a what you call like a real your renewable energy. This should be an activity which has to find a concession and finance, and it should help them.
Sir, that's the main point, because that is where I said the informal sector has to be
Become formal.
formal. So that means there is a lot of work being needs to be done from the policy level till the
Yeah, because some policies are there. Now it
Yeah.
has to be fine-tuned
Fine-tuned,
so that it
adopted.
becomes practical and it gets into the grassroots level. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
Because I think even our speakers and all of them saying they could learn a lot of things from this. We have heard a circular economy. क्या है circular economy मालूम नहीं है. तो आप अभी अच्छा तरीके से बताया.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. So now we are coming to another area. In all this endeavor, how artificial intelligence or other emerging technology that could be used, because today is the day of artificial intelligence, and there are multiple emerging technologies. There are multiple startups, all of them fintech, of course, other than startup also. Now all of them are taking such area of vital importance and providing enablers. So we have that for that purpose. All of you must be knowing Prasanna Lohan, and he is the most sought after in terms of the in the technological field. and he's also an advisor to various companies. He works on a special mission on blockchain also, and he was a banker, worked in banking for more than 18 years. Then he left the bank and now taking this. So DCB Bank, he was the main there. So in fintech, blockchain, AI, digital transformation, so Prasanna is recognized as innovation leader. He heads Blockstack, leads India Blockchain Forum, and advises Secure the app. Even Union Bank, he is the advisor for that, and he has been a regular speaker, and we are very happy. He has agreed to cover this major AI for climate action. So now I request Prasanna Lohar to speak for 15 minutes. Shilpa, Prasanna Lohar must be there. Give him SS. Prasanna? He's there. He's starting. Very good. Prasanna ji, welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Very well. Very well. Nice. Your PPT has also.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you, Narendra sir, and good to hear from previous speakers, as it is something trending topic, but relevantly quite a new for majority of decision makers and corporates and others. While we have seen since 2015 when 17 sustainability goals were announced, and after that, lot of inclinations around that. As we are bankers, we could see very minimal work which has happened at least at RBI, and look forward from this year onwards. A lot of work will happen because 2030 17 sustainable goals we already surpassed half of the period, and we had to achieve a lot of things at least on environment side. While there are other like financial inclusion, we are digital heavy country. Other areas like we keep hearing a lot of news like floods, as well as we keep hearing while on the other side floods are there, the water shortage. So we are in a mix of multiple challenges, and how do we really use technology to forecast where we have to put up the hydraulic plants or where we have to put dams. I think with humongous geospatial data which is available, what I have seen, FAMS, which is one of the our company, which is a startup company based out of Nasik, where we work closely with the Maharashtra government and some more governments and some of the Netherlands others, where our project with AI and available open source data, we are able to predict where government should put hydraulic plants, where and in fact the opportunity is such a huge that we claim that okay, particular building which wherein we are sitting right now in Mumbai, or where I'm sitting in Bangalore, what is the lifeline of building considering the environmental data which is available. So that kind of a work we are doing. Opportunities only is that it has to be understood by corporates, funded by investors to work more and more. So in the next 15 minutes I'll take a try what is really happening, and how so this is a presentation which I have prepared for this event. So
Yes.
in my view, whenever we do innovate, certainly we innovate for a profit, but it has to be balanced with a purpose. For what purpose? And where we have reached as of now, we need to code, as we are coders, technocrats, we need to code not only for the profit, but for the planet and the design of the people. So as an investor, whenever we evaluate any startups or any innovative idea, we always ask what is there for ESG, or how are we really taking care of sustainability. Various vague answers to come, but as a right opportunity, we keep guiding them. How do we really build this momentum around these four areas? First area, which is around 17 sustainable goals, where majority of people in the forum today knows it's a opportunity till 2030. Every country has to meet this timeline for a zero poverty, or better financial inclusion, gender equality, quality education, clean water, sanitation, right? These are those larger opportunities which is being discussed by UN in 2015, and it is called as a SDGs to meet. Another area which we need to look at is a net zero vision. Every country has a set of their net zero vision. While the considering current available parameters, we could envisage that by 2070 India will become net zero, and China claims that they will become net zero by 2050. So still we have a long way to go, right? So while we are saying we will become net zero by 2070, we are lagging behind a majority of countries. So I think that's a call for government to come up and how which are those better methods, frameworks we should use to become a net zero. So if you look at this diagram where we see energy consumption or GDP growth or share of a zero carbon fuels, while we will become 1.70 billion by next 35 years. We really need to emphasize how technology like AI, blockchain, IoT should come together and create an amalgamation to build various business methods which we do. For example, in Maharashtra, there is a standard like recycled water. So, ma'am was also talking about a circular economy. So what we had done along with the World Bank in one of the experiment is like how do we really measure the pH parameter of the water, and it is mandated by Maharashtra government for various corporates to use some percentage of a recycled water. But are they really doing it or not doing it? Where we can always do some automated methods to put some IoT, AI, and blockchain together to see are they really making it towards a net zero impact. I think while I talk about SDGs and net zero, so furthermore, I think we heard a lot about circular economy, and every product needs to have a method how it can really have an end of life. While we are generating some material today, maybe plastic or any product or mobile or everything. So I think in Europe Union we have come up with a now new standard or a new guidelines are there. So every product you measure, it should have a end or it should go back as a recycle. So I have depicted here how earlier linear economy where take, make, use, waste, followed by recycling mechanism, take, make, use, and while using how it can be recycled and waste. But in a circular economy, it has to go back, and we need to really create those products life cycles how they can go back. I think digital product. A passport is another mechanism which has come up in the EU. Every product which they are manufacturing should have a product ID. Today, where we are 7.2%. What does it mean? Only 7.2% products are recycled. So that's an opportunity, rather a big threat or challenge in front of the world. And let's see how we will really have a major methods to mitigate things. Fourth area, while we spoke, ESG is very, very important. And now how ESG is becoming a individual as well as a corporate responsibility. We heard many things from our fellow panels. But one thing I would like to say that while we had a customer experience or as a KRA or innovation as a KRA, I'm not sure, or I am sure some companies should really go and say how you are accumulating, how your work, how your day-to-day work is impacting the ESG of the company. What remains in India to calculate those various standards? How do we do the ESG reporting? While today it is not a mandate, but every product, every financial transaction we do, it should be attached with some kind of score. As you rightly said, the woman leadership position, right? So that they should know and really work around these areas is very, very important. In a Paris Agreement lately, it is mentioned that how we can reduce the greenhouse impact by 30% by 2030. So these four areas, SDGs or net zero and circular economy and ESG are the ask from the world. And as you have mentioned, the conference agenda, which is around planet, people profit, which is a TBL, right? A triple bottom line. which was coined back in 1994 by Mr. John. But it is primarily around how we are really thinking of a planet for any work we are doing at a corporates. Are we really looking at environmental ownerships around that while we are doing profits? Are we really giving some knowledge, trainings, or responsibility to the people in the organization? So all the three things we should measure. So today we are just focusing on a financial resilience or organizational resilience or operational resilience. So we need to add this new mantra for all companies. So certainly, I think regulators will play a major role to design, define those guidelines for sure. Now, coming back, while we have this challenge, opportunity to do work around that, and there comes the technology like AI. So, example in banking ecosystem, we use AI for a lot of automation. Like while we used to do call with the contact center, now call can happen with the voice bots. Or while we used to identify the frauds manually, now there are a lot of techniques, FRM tools. They are identifying with the help of AI. Moreover, they can gauge, measure, and say what will be the tentative new threat will come in the next coming days or future. I think there are some examples, and many people in the forum knows how AI is being utilized with a monolithic automation. Now that monolithic automation with agentic AI is becoming more intelligent automation, so we can predict how much work is going to come. Similarly, if you look at some more examples for SME or loan prediction, whether the loan is going to become NPA or employee is going to become a is going to exit in few days based upon his behavior in the office or on the day-to-day process. So I think that's how AI and the relevant technologies, machine learning, generative AI, and nowadays we use agentic AI. So AI is a full plethora of multiple frameworks. We can use it for multiple things. So one of the things Gen AI, which we keep talking since ChatGPT, I think 1% of online content is generated by using AI, right? That is back in 2021. But today, if I ask some of you, please stop utilizing ChatGPT, they will say, I will pay you 100 rupees or 1000 rupees, but let me allow to use a ChatGPT. The majority of content, at least, it's not only ChatGPT. There are at least other 100 plus tools which are coming up, and they have changed the way we used to operate internet and the relevant business models. So that way, I think AI is very important. AI typically comes to enhance the human capabilities rather than the replacement of humans. So let us look at how the capabilities which are to be used for handling climate, how AI can be really utilized. So some of these are fundamental slides around AI, Gen AI. But today, where we have reached in 2025 with a company like NVIDIA, they have given a room or opportunity to make AI dreams true. So today, if you want to really predict when this river is going to go empty, or when you want to predict when a particular building is going to collapse in how many years, or when you want to say what type of the rains we are going to do. So I think we keep seeing the weather forecasting, but with the AI, with the machine learning, NLP, and the kind of a compute which we have now, the kind of scalability which we have now, I think definitely all the things are going to be very true, right? So, for example, coding jobs, you have seen multiple protocol frameworks are coming. MCP is the kind of a work we used to do when we were coder in a 30 days. It is now happening in 1 or 2 days. We do code websites within a 1 day. So the things are changing, right? So I think AI is everywhere. Similarly, when we talk about AI for climate action, we could see that data and having the right digital infrastructure to see the data from where data is coming in around researching on for the innovations. I think there are a lot of areas where this framework can be used for AI for climate. Climate typically is interlinked with the multiple parameters. Could be human parameters, core climate characteristics, and so on. I think And combination of all these parameters, we may generate some of those predictions around the climate change processes. So there AI can be utilized to assess all these. So manually it may be very tedious, or even current capacity of a computer generating this data, accumulating this data to IoTs or APIs. So furthermore, how do you really utilize these parameters and measure CO2 or all these carbon cycle disturbance? So I think AI can be really helpful. Some of the work which we are doing is like a data modeling and with the integration of all the data sets, simulation modeling, or we are providing FAMS, which I was talking as a service, where we are actually working around how do we really understand the geospatial with the help of geospatial AI. How do we handle then estimate carbon footprints, or we can say on individual buildings, we can measure the building index based upon various parameters which we have in solar and so on. As report rightly says, one of those report by BCG, 87% of respondents say AI is a helpful tool for address climate change at many levels, removing emissions or predicting hazards or measuring emissions and reducing emissions and so on. I'll take another 2 minutes to talk about on a city side how it is happening. With cities are becoming smarter cities with cognitive cities, from smart city to cognitive. You can see how AI with other technology like drone or IoT, we can really keep measuring the life cycle of a cities, and at the same time precision farming or a farming where we can utilize various methods and actual weather data which is coming up. We can really guide farmers what to, how much, when, and we can predict whether these mangoes are going to go off. I think the life which we have seen today, we may say we are part of a digital era, but with AI and along with the combination of other technologies, it will become more autonomous and more intelligent. Here I talk about AI-driven solutions, as many speakers spoke about waste management, water management, land use, carbon footprint, how to measure the surface level of humongous forests, trees, lakes, the land. I think AI can be utilized along with other techs like drones, early warning systems for natural disasters, climate modeling and planning, earth observation and remote sensing for adoption. I think today, as world is coming more closer and closer, and these days we keep hearing Bangalore is become little hot, or other countries are other places rain has started early. So I think we are a mix of many things. I think AI should track, trace, and come up with some kind of solutions. Some of them which we do is like water climate for agriculture, water security, or climate extremes, or water yield. We are hydropower or renewable plants. How do we really put? So this is happening, and the other areas like how it can climate change. Like how do we measure, right? So greenhouse gas emissions, how do we measure? Monitoring, transport monitoring, energy management. So these are the things AI can really drive it better. Lot of in recently Maharashtra government also announced one of those climate change projects which we are doing. But while we do AI, other pillar or other side of AI is very lethal. If you don't utilize appropriately, AI itself will consume a lot of energy, right? So energy and water consumption. There are other areas like data availability, right? Data should be available, then only we'll be able to predict. So I think there are other risks also we should really consider. So ultimate bottom line is good. There are a lot of work is happening. We keep doing it at a national scale. We should look at how that thing should start from a college to build a talent, or while there is a vision of government or around payment or many other areas, we should now talk about net zero India, also net zero Bharat kind of a momentum. Find out those lot of use cases which we can do at a state level, corporate level, with all relevant regulatory support for these products. Definitely should have had those circular economy kind of a trend around having those AI data sandbox availability, Some India AI or AI companies really working around only this mission. I think this combination will really help how to drive the momentum. While AI is a super foundational tech, it has to work with other technology also. So matching around other technology, we should look at it. I'll stop with this slide, which talks about digital product passport. So in EU, it is now very countries are mandating after 2022. So DPP is like applies to some of the products. So birth of a product until product dies, the whole traceability, how do we maintain and do it? So one of the project we are doing out here, and let's look forward how, as you sir rightly said, I think this kind of discussions we should keep doing it again and again. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here. Yeah.
Thank you, Prasanna ji. All our audience and our participants are really privileged to hear you, and you are very, very, very in a orderly way. The side, what you call the PPT you have presented and the talked, it is really very meaningful to us and knowledgeable. And you have projected also what could be the various areas as a new emerging technology can be used. And I really agree with the that in predicting the what you call our weather, or in finding out in terms of whether there is likely to be any cloud burst, or even in agriculture. And you gave some examples also, some of the initiative taken by some of the government also. And I really get an idea now. Through you, we will have a separate 1 day or 2 days program on this artificial intelligence in the wide varieties of areas where it could be adapted. So thank you very much, and all our audience here, no, they are once again clapping. And we have one or two students also who have come here. They are also, you said, no, even at the college, we should propagate. So anybody has any question on this? Yes, sir. Bataiye, sir.
Very nicely you have made a presentation. I'd like to know, how do we have a collaborations with Government of India for strategy, the improvement of this productivity, data collections and conversions, forward backward linkages, marketing to the farmers, and which are the countries what demand is there, what governments are there, how do we make a convergence of it actually?
What Mr. K.V. Kamble, he is the
Yeah.
he is from the Khadi Village Industry Commission, and he has worked in both center and central government. And even today, he has taken all over India certain initiatives. You also gave already. What he's saying is how through the technology as well as on the newer emerging, how the government and the private sector or the fintech sector or the startup can collaborate to improve the productivity
Yes.
and the more utilization. Yeah.
I think today's era is all about collaboration and right community. And hats off to Narendra ji. He keeps doing that efforts with seamless ecosystem collaboration with the people like us. So when I started blockchain momentum, the same question came in my mind: why this and that? So we started this India Blockchain Forum, which is a non-profit company, and it caters all the pillars. Could be government and corporates and technology companies, startups, academia, and that's how it will work. Now, coming back to this question, so we should have some kind of a forum which keep talking what is a need, identifying those right use cases, involving PWD maybe from some of those departments. So we work closely with the WRC, which is the Water Resource Group Maharashtra, right? So they give the use cases, and the technology teams are available to implement. Now there is a lot to work on the research side, on the technology maturity side. While when I had visited Singapore or UAE, they had a lot of platforms to measure the ESG today, and these platforms seamlessly come and integrate with the HRM system or something. So that awareness is not there. So I think we need to have this forum to continue, or create a separate forum which is around only net zero, India net zero forum, something like that, and which with top 10 values, where we could see some top 5 innovations, which wherein we can see these innovations are really supporting ESG or circular economy or these things. So one thread last week we proposed to Piyush ji around to build a India Innovation Forum. So next week we have a meeting, and one of the agenda was this: how do we support a lot of problem statements around startups who are building on a clean tech and green tech, and how they get they can get funding. Today, funding is available for payments and lending and so on and so forth. But clean tomorrow's unicorns are going to be clean tech, who are really going to help sustainability. I think in a nutshell, we need to have a right forum which keeps driving some of the top 10 goals. Yeah, which will be
Okay.
helpful. Yes.
So thank you, as you said, sir. No, sir, he is in Bangalore, sir. We will. He was in part of our leadership program also. He is so, madam. Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
Okay, for that.
Yeah, we'll have so many. That is where I got some idea also. Now, our one of our speaker, madam, is leaving. So, 1 minute, please hold on. Yeah. Meanwhile, your Prasanna ji, आपका ही area में there is one company called Credible. So they are using artificial intelligence, and they are facilitating the corporate reporting and financial institution reporting, and that is a global company. And that company is co-founder and CEO is Jitesh Shetty, and another partner was Partha. Today he is not. So Mr. Jitesh Shetty is a serial tech entrepreneur and sustainability innovator. He co-founded
Yes.
Quick Labs,
Excellent.
acquired by Google, and currently leads Credible ESG, an AI and blockchain-powered platform that helps global enterprises and financial institutions manage, validate, and report ESG data at scale. Now, like all unstructured data, it can give in structured manner. Under his leadership, now Credible has gone to support over more than 150 corporate clients, both in India, Europe, and other countries, including Japan and Australia. So he is the pioneer the generative AI-based tools for ESG bookkeeping and data quality, and secured strategic partnership like the one with the various companies. Here, main is even with Ajanta.
Yeah.
So now I request Jitesh Shetty.
Sir, I want
Yeah.
to just Jitesh ji is my college mate. So
Yes.
that's how it is.
आपको मिला नहीं होगा वो अभी. You have to meet him here.
अभी नहीं मिला
We'll
बहुत साल
arrange a
से,
meeting.
but good to see him here and
I
look
didn't
forward
know
to
that
that
you
from
are a
yeah.
classmate together. Oh,
Yes,
very good.
yes, yes.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
be here, then we'll have a further. So Jitesh Shetty, please, you are part of the
Thank you.
speech now.
Thank you, Narendra ji. Thank
Yeah,
you, Prasanna ji.
yeah.
So great to see you. That was the first thing I was going to say. We went to the same engineering college and really seeing each other after, I think, 20 years maybe or more. So
Yes,
great
definitely.
to connect on this forum, right? That talks about Enqube and collaboration, like bringing really old collaborators also together. So I will pick on the last topic that Prasanna ji was talking about, which is around data management. And if you remember, his second last slide was about that how AI can be used in ESG data measurement management. So we focus on that as a company. And what we do is we have a sustainability data management platform, which is used by now 140 plus customers. And there are four kind of core pillars to the platform. If you think about sustainability or ESG data management, the first thing is understanding the posture of any enterprise. So let's take Taj Hotels as an example. If they have to make any improvement to their sustainability posture, they first need to understand what is our current posture today for a given hotel and a group of hotels. So that we call the measure pillar. So in the measure pillar, we use Gen AI, what's called LLMs, in how we can capture data in an automated way from evidences. So that's one. I will actually show a little bit of how the product works. Second is the manage pillar. Now, what is the manage pillar? Any large enterprise that is disclosing on sustainability, like Prasanna ji touched on this thing called DPP, Digital Product Passport. So when you're disclosing this data has to be what's called assurance ready. So again, we use AI in making sure the data is assurance ready. We call this almost like a virtual internal auditor, and we work with Deloitte and many other big fours also in this space. We are one of the pioneers to use AI in this assurance readiness space. Third is reporting, and fourth is supply chain. So you have some data, you're collecting the data. How do you put AI there? You're making sure the data is right. You're making sure it's assurance ready. Then you're reporting it. And fourth, you're engaging your supply chain. You're seeing, is there any climate risk in my supply chain? So you're asking your suppliers for some data, for some certifications. Even there, we use generative AI, right? And we use this at a very large scale. On the fourth side, which is supply chain engagement, we also have a traceability platform. What does that mean? That means, take an example of a company like Wellspun. Wellspun has to assess its suppliers for any climate risk. But in some cases, their buyers will ask for complete traceability, meaning they will say this purchase order of home textile linen, we want to know all the way upstream who were your suppliers involved. So there again, we meaningfully do AI intervention to make sure that all the claims you are making in the context of, let's say, a digital product passport, those claims are right. So let me share my screen.
Yeah.
I will first go through some slides, and then I will little bit walk through the product. So I hope you can see my screen okay.
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah, so Credible is the name of the company and the platform. Again, there are two key problems. Any enterprise that is managing sustainability data, one is, how do you make sure the data is always accurate and it's always audit ready, meaning the claim I'm making, that claim is not false. That is one key problem. Second is, if you look at sustainability teams in a corporate around the world, those teams are very small. If you look at even Flipkart, it's one or two people who are doing everything. So what is the problem here? The problem is, how do you make sure sustainability data management, reporting, supply chain management is not a burden for the enterprise? So even there, we meaningfully do AI intervention. So typically, you will see a situation like this when it comes to sustainability data in a corporate. At the middle is a small corporate sustainability team. They are working with different functions, different business units, and the supply chain. The small team now is collecting all of this data, streamlining this data, making sure the data is audit ready, and then externalizing this data. When they do this, there are two things happening. One is a lot of operational overhead. It's a small team, so they are going back and forth. A lot of time is being spent. Second, they're taking a lot of risk. Let's say they give this data to DJSI or EcoVadis, and something is wrong in their data. Their ESG score may dramatically fall, which means that they really take a big hit in the corporate, right? They misreported some data, or let's say in a annual disclosure, in a non-financial disclosure, they disclosed this data. It went into the public forum, and someone said, "Oh, your carbon footprint is actually more than that." So there's a lot of risk this team takes. So in a platform intervention, we replace what we saw in the last slide with four pillars: measure, manage, report, and supply chain. So measure, the last speaker covered this, right? Measure means in an automated way capturing data from internal HRMS systems, SAP systems, but some form of data is in the form of documents. So there we extract that data directly from those documents. And a lot of times the Credible platform writes that data back into SAP, right? So it is extracting, let's say, a invoice. Think of a company like Devyani Foods, that's our customer. So when LPG consumption happens in a restaurant, that data first goes into Credible through documents. AI will extract, figure out how much was the footprint of carbon from this LPG consumption, then write it to SAP. Second is the manage pillar. Manage is where every enterprise, we give them a virtual auditor. We tell them audit readiness in the age of AI should not be a human intensive exercise. It shouldn't be OpEx heavy. You don't need a lot of consultants. Anything that the human auditor can do, you can make the AI do that. So that is the whole manage pillar. Third is reporting. In the same platform, all your data is getting collected. So all your reporting happens in the same platform. So here we do AI intervention in report authoring. Fourth is supply chain, where in the supply chain, we start with supply chain assessments. What this means is a corporate will assess its suppliers by launching a questionnaire, but not all suppliers respond. Then this corporate will tell the credible platform, look, I have two suppliers, let's say Nokia and Kunanagal. Kunanagal is my freight forwarder. They never respond to my assessment. Can you crawl the web, look at publicly available sustainability reports, use AI to extract all the key KPIs and auto-fill the assessment? So here we do AI intervention. And then every response your supplier has given, we use LLM rules to check, has the supplier met the expectation? So let's say I want the ISO certificate from a supplier. Instead of me manually going through the certificate, I will make the credible AI check. And then we also enable the customer to move into what we call deeper traceability. So traceability is exactly what Mr. Lohar touched, right? That there are these newer rules coming like DPP, which means that in this product, I need to know provenance all the way upstream. Who were all the suppliers, what material went in, what compliances went in. So do those checks also, we use AI intervention. So I will show you this first piece. I'm not showing any customer data, but I want you to get an idea how AI intervention in the real world in sustainability data management corporate works. So here, for example, we are looking at the credible platform. This is Flipkart is our customer, but not showing any real world data of Flipkart. So one is what I said, the measure pillar, meaning extraction from invoices. So let's take an example of that. So here I have a few extractions. So if I look at this, so you see here, this is an electricity bill. On the right is an extraction the credible AI has done. Again, here this is an electricity bill from Germany. On the right is an extraction. So why is this important? Meaning credible will access variety of these invoices which belong to different KPIs. Instead of manually feeding, the extraction will happen, mapping to the right facility will happen, then mapping to the right KPI will happen, then the downstream carbon calculation will happen, right? Here is a slightly more complex case. This is a waste log from a KFC restaurant. Now, this waste log is handwritten. So on the right is the credible extraction. Now, this will flow into the waste KPI, right? So this is the measure pillar. Very quickly, I wanted to show there is deep automation built in, but I wanted to show very quickly. Now, what do I mean by a virtual auditor? If you look at this dashboard, there is something called as a data quality. So I'll click on the data quality. The system is now telling us what is the quality of my data across my enterprise. Is my data audit ready? Is data collected? Is it missing? Is there a variance breach, valid evidence, invalid evidence, or evidence missing? Now, this evidence is the piece which your auditor will check. Deloitte, KPMG, Bureau Veritas, SGS, they will say you're making a claim. Do you have an evidence? So here, for example, for a warehouse, the system is telling us there is some invalid evidence. So I can click on this warehouse. The system takes me to that warehouse. I click on this. It's telling that there are two audit rules set. Both these audit rules failed. Now, very quickly, let's see this in another context. This is a mining company. Again, not showing their real world data. Again, let's click on the data quality dashboard. Let's click on waste. Here, if you see for Feb 2025, there is some invalid evidence, meaning my auditor will not be happy with this. Let's click on that mining side, go to waste again. In mining, there is a concept of tailings. If you have tailings, you have to get a audit done. So when I click on this, there are two audit rules set. One is if you have tailings, you should get an audit done. That rule passed. Second, the GISTM audit should have passed. To understand whether a GISTM audit has passed, the human analyst has to go through this. Now, if you see the evidence that came in, the site sent a audit report. If I read this whole audit report, in the conclusion, I will realize that this audit has actually failed. Now, humans would have to manually do this in the back office of a mining company. This we are making the credible AI do. Under the hood, what we are using is OpenAI, Anthropic, and Gemini, what is called their foundation models. We are not creating our own models, but on top of that, there is a concept of in-context learning, which is very sophisticated prompt management. We have built that layer for sustainability at a very large scale. Now let's very quickly check how do we configure these locations, right? How do we configure these facilities? So let me go back here. Where do I have facilities? I have facilities here. So I click on the first facility. So facility is a very first class citizen in any sustainability data management platform. It can be an office, a bank office, a factory, a warehouse, which has some footprint. So you have to tell the facility what kind of resources are you consuming. I'll very switch to another instance. Here is another instance. This is a hotel company. So let's look at emission and the air emission configuration. So it's an annual template. What does a configuration mean here? It means what are the resources which contribute to a CO2 emission. So here, if you see, we have put many different resources. There is a emission factor set here. There are units set. Then there is variance set for statistical flagging. But the interesting thing is this tab called evidence. So what is evidence? We are telling the system that for gel fuel, in this case, gel fuel, when you provide some data in an automated way, you also have to provide a daily logbook. Sorry about that. You also have to provide a daily logbook in an automated way. Now, this daily logbook, these rules will be run on this daily logbook. Now, this is exactly what your auditor will check, right? Now, let's look at another KPI, which is air emission. Air emission is SOx, NOx, PM. If I click on evidence, and there is a boiler which contributes to this, if we expand this, what are we telling here? We are telling that if you have air emission, you should get an ISO 17025 certificate or an NABL certificate, and it should be less than a year old. Now I can add an additional rule in plain English language. This should be issued in, let's say, Bangalore, where Prasanna is. Bangalore, right? In plain English language. Now the reason we can do this is because of this newer AI, generative AI. We can replicate what a human being does. Now, one of the things you are working in our roadmap is if you want to do an audit in a factory like Welspun by physically going, you can give a video feed to the credible AI, right? And analyze the video. Now, once I have set this, the system gives us proactively a view like this of the data quality, or I can go reactively and run a desktop audit. I no more need a auditor to do an internal audit, right? So I can, let's say, Bangalore assets audit. It's a GHG emission audit. I pick only my assets in Bangalore and I pick a reporting period. Then it gives me a desktop audit view. So this is in the pocket of every enterprise that uses Credible. You no more have to spend on OpEx, and we are able to do this because of generative AI, right? So here it's telling 100% data is available. This is the boundary of the audit. 241 evidences are there. 166 passed, 75 failed. Now I can go dig into each one. Why did this fail? Right? So here extensively we are using generative AI. Then the last area is what's called supply chain assessment. So what is supply chain assessment? That I have a set of suppliers, largely my footprint, what's called scope 3, my climate risk is hidden in my suppliers. Let's say I'm a brand like Nike, I actually build very less. I only am a sales and marketing machinery. Most of the material work is happening in my supply chain. So I have to analyze my suppliers. So you can launch a supply chain assessment. You can get visibility into your suppliers when they respond. You can stack rank your suppliers. But what you can then do is certain rules. You can use the credible AI rules to see how your suppliers are doing. For example, here I have an assessment. Again, this is some stub data from one of our customers. I can look at one of their suppliers. I can see, okay, how have they responded? Let's see in the environmental category. So here the enterprise is asking for a ISO certificate. Now they can manually check, is the certificate valid, or they can use the credible AI. So you see on the right are the validation rules. Is this certificate valid? Has it expired? Is it ISO 14001? So all of this saves a lot of time on the supply chain assessment side. So that's one. Second, where we meaningfully use AI is in supply chain assessment. There is one very big problem, and that problem is a lot of your suppliers, they never respond to your assessment, right? So then you can tell the credible system, look, I have Nokia and Kunanagal. Kunanagal is a large freight forwarder. They never respond to my assessment, but I want visibility into their sustainability posture. Take these two suppliers, take these KPIs, go to the public web and extract data. So you can express that in a simple spreadsheet like this, put this spreadsheet into Credible, and Credible will go and do the extraction, right? So let me see if I have one extraction handy. I'll show that. The example I showed, your first column here is Kunanagal and Nokia. The second column is the sustainability KPIs we care about. The third column is the extraction the Credible AI has done. And the fourth column is the sources it is telling us it has used. So it is crawling the web, downloading these reports, and then in these reports doing all of this extraction. So this is on the supply chain side. And then finally, there is traceability. So what is traceability? For a couple of purchase orders, I want to give my buyer full visibility, right? So here is a PO. If I click on this PO, I get some PO details. Then I can click on traceability. So here, Mr. Lohar was talking about this DPP journey. This is not a full DPP journey, but this is giving a full traceability of that product at an item level. I can get a traceability report. This I can attach to a digital freight forwarder when the container is moving. Now I can view the traceability, but where is the AI intervention when I click the virtual auditor? So now I've turned on the AI-based auditor and it is flagging a few issues. See all these red dots, these are AI identified issues. So if I click on this, it's telling there is a potential EUDR issue. This supplier is sourcing some material potentially from a deforestation free area. So this allows me to really flag this before I fulfill this PO. So let's look at the second PO. So this PO has two PO line items. Let's look at this line item. And when we turn on traceability, so multiple issues here, right? This is in the cotton value chain. So if I click on the first one, it says there is a potential forced labor compliance certificate issue. Now, this has become very important due to some sourcing that can happen from some questionable regions in China. So here it's saying the supplier has not provided annual training for safety. So if we see how we are configuring this under the hood, I have two SKUs. Yeah.
Time over, yeah? Yeah, please.
Yeah. So here, these are LLM rules, right? So these are all AI rules. They map to each compliance, right? So we are kind of heavily innovating in this space. And just yesterday, there is a company called Verdantix. They are the Gartner for Sustainability and Climate. And in that, they have identified Credible in their green quadrant as an innovator. So Credible is the only company with roots in Asia that has been identified. Out of the thousands of companies, they picked 20, and we are in the innovators column, right? And if you read the entire description, it is all about generative AI. Even our description they give, Credible is an AI-driven sustainability platform. So I hope that was helpful, how generative AI in a real world at scale can be used for data capture, but also for audit readiness, right? Across enterprise, but also in the supply chain. So happy to take questions.
Yeah, what will do? Questions will be last. Now we have another speaker. So thank you very much, Jitesh ji.
Yes,
And,
yes.
we have to keep the timing. Sorry for a little distance.
No problem. No problem.
Now,
Hope that was helpful. Yeah.
Actually, Tarapur, you must be knowing. She will be talking on planning, people, and profit. You know that Anjali was working in more than 27 years in the HDFC group, and she has been an experienced ESG leader. And formerly, she was the EVP ESG at HDFC and General Manager Business Responsibility Officer at HDFC Limited. And currently, recently she has joined as Principal Advisor, Special Projects in HDFC Capital Advisors. And she is also taking active interest as Independent Director. and currently she is the committee member of the Mumbai First Sustainability Forum. And she has also worked in various government forums in housing and infrastructure in the government of India. So with this, and she has been in our various forum also in Enqube, as well as Indian Merchant Chamber and all. She has talked and she has been a good orator also. Can I request Anjali? Anjali, you are there? Anjali, please cover planet, people, and profit. Shilpa? Shilpa, Anjali
Yeah,
is
sir.
there.
Anjali ma'am is there.
Okay, give the line. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Dr. Mehrpadi, for your relentless efforts in organizing these hybrid seminars. I have always had high regard for your enthusiasm in bringing groups of people from various walks of life to discuss, debate an array of evolving and critical issues. And there are many learnings for all of us through these knowledge sharing forums. So thank you, and thank you for inviting me. It's been an interesting seminar so far. There have been different views on sustainability, technology, AI, green financing. We've shared success stories. We've talked about what is work in progress and the challenges ahead. Since I was requested to share my views on people, planet, and profit, it is perhaps befitting to look back and see the origins of this phrase. And I think Prasanna earlier on also alluded to this. Now, 31 years ago, in 1994, John Elkington, a thought leader and consultant, popularized the triple bottom line. The objective was to change the way businesses, non-profits, and governments assessed overall performance. The key challenge and the key change in the thought was to measure social and environmental issues in addition to financial metrics. Now, just a few years ago, ESG was perhaps the most promising investment idea. It was all about investing of the future. Every corporate, every investor, every board was on the same page. So ESG investing, and particularly the emphasis on green, was intended to go from being niche to being mainstream. But in 2025, it became extremely obvious that something on ESG was going awry. ESG was increasingly becoming a subject of global contradictions, polarized, a political tool, and being bandied as woke capitalism. Now, a large segment of the global leadership, and surprisingly, the ones who were at the forefront of championing ESG, began withdrawing from the space. Alliances, pledges on ESG started falling off the ladder. Now, some did it quietly, some did it under duress, and others were vocal to say that ESG had become politically weaponized. As we stand today, we are at a critical juncture. Now it is an ESG moment of truth, and it's ESG trial by fire. Now, in 2024, only 1.4% of shareholder proposals related to ESG succeeded, compared to 21% in 2021. The key reason for this shift was because some of the very large asset managers who were earlier leading the charge on ESG were no longer supporting shareholder resolutions. But this is just one side of the story. In another side of the world, ESG is not pausing. In Europe, it continues to be driven by very stiff regulation, though in the recent period, there has been some reality check happening that change may not be able to happen as per their timelines. The EU is also getting some pushback from other countries, including India, on the proposed carbon border adjustment mechanism. And we've all seen the foreign minister's recent statement on the carbon border adjustment mechanism, where he has been quite vocal on the need to have some pushback. Now, the real momentum on ESG is in Asia. And it's no coincidence that the world's GDP growth thrust is also coming from Asia. On ESG, China, through their new sunrise industries, has certainly stolen a march. Also gaining ground more quietly are other Asian economies like Singapore, Japan, and India. ESG in India is best described today as a quiet evolution. We aren't screaming ESG credentials from our rooftops. Instead, we are increasingly using our rooftops to generate clean energy and are working towards the 1 crore target of rooftop solar installations by March 2027. Now, in India, we have undergone 2 full reporting cycles of the mandatory reporting of the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report. Now, as per a BRSR barometer report, this is a report by Enqube and Step Change. In FY24, 815 listed companies with a combined annual revenue in excess of 8 trillion rupees had filed their BRSR reports. The underlying message is that high quality ESG data is no longer a nice to have. It is becoming a license to operate. As the ESG data repository builds up, regulators can track performance of nationally determined contribution progress. Investors have credible ESG risk metrics to make better informed decisions using risk-based pricing, and companies will adopt more energy-efficient measures in their operations and strengthen their value chains. Another significant development in India is India's carbon credit trading scheme under the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And these are all recent measures that have been taken. A regulated carbon pricing ecosystem for India will incentivize reduction in emissions whilst promoting and shifting towards cleaner energy sources. India's CCTS or carbon trading scheme is a rate-based model, and this is important to understand. It is a rate-based model where entities are assigned carbon intensity targets rather than fixed emission caps. The model offers greater flexibility, particularly for fast-growing economies like India, by accommodating industrial expansion whilst also maintaining climate discipline. A phased approach is being adopted where initially it will cover a few hard-to-abate sectors like aluminum, cement, fertilizers, pulp, paper, amongst others. Now, target emissions intensity have been assigned, but this exercise was done in an inclusive manner with discussions with specific companies so as to ensure a completely transparent approach is being maintained. Another initiative was in May this year, the Finance Ministry released a draft green taxonomy. The underlying objective is to create a pathway for India to enable it to meet its net zero commitments. This is still a work in progress, but the objective is to have an indigenous framework. The draft green taxonomy is referred to as a living document because it needs to be reviewed periodically and it has to evolve as per India's climate finance needs. The draft framework is also practical and realistic, where it categorizes projects as climate supportive activities where there is scope for absolute emission reduction or emission avoidance. And the second category is the transition supportive, where the absolute avoidance is currently unavailable. So the framework is rather practical. Of course, there's a lot more work that needs to be done. As far as the capital markets are concerned, both SEBI and GIFT City or the ISFCA have been very proactive on issuing regulatory frameworks, such as just in June this month, SEBI came out with the ESG bond framework. We've seen L&T being the first one using this framework. And the GIFT City has also come out with ESG transition bonds. What is critical is that the regulators want transparency in this market and they want to avoid misuse of ESG green labels. So regulators now call for purpose washing. So we've moved away just from greenwashing to the concept that regulators want to keep at bay purpose washing, where false claims are being made under the guise of ESG. Now, due credit has to also be given to multilateral agencies that have been working in India that have used the carrot and stick approach of offering a funding line to many of the financial entities, including the small NBFCs, but with conditionalities of meeting certain green and social obligations. And this has helped more lenders to move faster on their ESGs and sustainability agendas. So today, India is at the crossroads of being the fastest growing major economy, home to the world's largest and youngest population, and yet the country is so vulnerable with a suboptimal ranking on 17 of its sustainable development goals. So India stands at a rank of 99 out of 167 nations on SDG rankings. So while India's rankings have improved from the previous year, there is a lot more work to do, especially if we need to meet our aspirations of a Viksit Bharat by 2047. So let me conclude by saying that ESG may be a quieter story today, but businesses with a long-term view will continue to be focused on future-proofing themselves because we all know the facts. Climate risk isn't vanishing. Stakeholders matter, labor standards continue to count, and we all know how institutions go belly up when governance breaks down. So ESG, or people, planet, and profit, will continue to hold importance. I remain confident that the global political noise, or otherwise, that despite this noise that we're seeing, good leadership and strong companies will continue to break through the current ESG chaos, and we will witness some very, very good measures coming through. India has never been stronger than now, and the country will certainly make deep inroads into the ESG journey over the next decade. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali. You will be a very source for driving the ESG in various corporate. They should take you, and you are already started. And HDFC Bank also has been very forefront in ESG, and you are the what you call architect of that. And the global issue, plus you are confident that in India also, people, planet, and profit with the government various initiative and private sector participation, it will get into the actual mode of implementation, and it will get a better reporting also. And in the global, of course, as you rightly said, the US has been little behind now, whereas Europe has taken some initiative, and the regulator also, central bank, there is a difference. Fed is saying that climate change or climate guideline is not our area. It has to be government related, and but of course in the BS standard, what you call Basel committee also must on that, and they should also, I think, on the disclosure, which RBI also taken. Thank you very much, Anjali. We will always for and have been kind enough to spare your time. Thank you. Now
Thank you.
we have one more banker, our Chandrasekhar Arya, and he has been the general manager of IDBI Bank, and he's MBA Finance, MA in Economics, started career with the Allahabad Bank as PO in 1998, and then moved to bank. Now he's of the branch banking, corporate, retail, priority, trade, audit, and presently, why I'm asking him to speak is he's in charge of the MSME, and so the MSMEs, how they will adapt sustainability, and how they are being supported by the corporate in pursuing their sustainability. And in that respect, as MSME head, how is IDBI Bank can help MSME? That is the so kindly ask come Chandrasekhar ji, आपका सब थोड़ा what you call on this area, we want to hear from you. Yeah, please.
Good evening. Without schedule, I am asked to speak. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. As everybody knows that, the Indian economy needs roughly $1.3 million to decarbonize the, heavy sector, especially steel and
Yes.
cement. Banks, apart from being a responsible banker toward the ESG sectors, we wanted to, we see this as a very good opportunity. But the issue is that there is an absence of taxonomy. So it's difficult to, for banker to understand. So unless that taxonomy is available, banks are finding it difficult to, land.
That is the one.
That big issue. Though recently government has
Issued the framework.
But it is yet to come. So till that time, banks are, finding it difficult. Another issue that we have, it's my personal opinion that we are already, funding under priority sectors.
Yes.
And I believe that, larger part of that may qualify as
Yes.
ESG.
Yeah, in that also, yes.
This may qualify because lots of things and activities, more MSMEs, we are funding.
Which are all one or other way connected to
sustainability. Sustainability. So that may qualify. And apart from this, if we want to promote, ESG credit, as you also said, my view is that it should qualify as a priority sector. So if it become a priority sector, so of course, being a priority sector,
one is of course the rooftop solar, your renewable funding.
And we are already funding renewables, energies, EV vehicles.
Yes.
We are already funding. Apart from this, we are funding also big companies who are focusing on ESG.
Because I think Reserve Bank has done 50 crores under priority for all the alternative energy.
So we are already funding. This may qualify.
But even in rural area, out of the cow, what you call, those things, you can have the biogas. So there are so many such projects which we are doing, but it has to be now properly accounted for.
Yes, for
It comes to us your adoption or helping the ESG.
And another issue that, as of now, we have to incur, additional cost for ESG certification. That's also discouraging. So another issue is that as of now, since in absence of taxonomy, banks are, may face reputation risk, just like purpose was saying. So suppose we fund and claim something is, is green and it is not, it has not really not a real green.
Greenwashing.
So it would be a greenwashing and a bank would put to,
Correct.
So because of that, so banks are a little constrained to look
that's
into
right.
this.
To really, even though you are funding, but sometimes you may not like to state it as the real, because the fact that there is no some specialist who can see the real impact. The impact study is not an ordinary issue. They have to really study that, and there must be good, like our top 5, such expertise people who can give the impact study.
No, but I think most of the bank, including IDBI, has also appointed consultant for this.
Yes.
The moment the taxonomy comes, proper guidelines comes, bank will,
bank will be rising up to the requirement.
Yeah, would love because love to invest here and give credit because the kind of money is required. Bank would be in a position to not only extend the support.
Those things are not constrained.
Those things are not constrained.
So only you have to also improve, take some expertise people in your fold for special study on the such green related project, which RBI has said, no. So which are, of course, it is not all that we have been funding all green project means who are new to that area we have been funding, but there can be necessity to expert. Particularly what MSME that I have been always advocate that MSME should get the equity from the corporate whom they are supplying the goods. And there should be some corporate who gets the special fund for the MSME. He said, no, Mr. Jitesh Shetty, the supply chain management, there should be a traceability that it has got in practice the sustainability. Now, to do that, MSME who are having with the limited funds, they are trying to come up and their export product. Unless that is not done, in Europe, no, they will put a big tax now. So which will become the product uncompetitive. So bank has to find some way how one is corporate helping, which actually government cannot make it compulsory, but it should come. Because if you want all the product coming for your final product from the MSME, then those MSME product, and are they not no labor, child labor, they have followed the social governance, They have followed all the labor standards. They have also get the quality standard, and there is no discharge. All that has to be confirmed. Without the confirmation, in Europe, they cannot do the export now. Similarly, other country may start putting tax. So to become competitive, there can be some assistance from the bank also.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted to.
See,
Please.
for that, what happened is, I think one speaker also told that majority player are very small units. They are in unorganized centers. Unless they get formalized, then they will start getting funding. So that is not happening. Once it starts, then they will be, they will have digital.
Actually, that's why sometimes I was thinking in the various cluster, such micro and others, they should become consolidated.
Yes.
Or there must be a combined collective effort.
Even that not required. If they simply registered under URC, no, they will start getting funding.
Correct. Unless they rise up to that requirement, bank find extremely difficult to finance them because there is no methodology of that appraisal of small enterprise. Correct. Unless, of course, under the credit guarantee scheme, they are being given. That is today, the government has enhanced to 10 crores. Actually, yesterday, along with the Mr. Jitesh Shetty, I found one person who has taken project, madam, all the edible oil waste, waste in the sense after usage, that is being collected from all over the various states in India, and that is being converted into again usable oil, and including your what you call aircraft. There also that can be used. So that project already he has started. Of course, because in this that other business, all are unorganized. That that is goes to some. So that is becoming from the unorganized to the organized, which has a good. That is a very real what you call alternative use of the energy. And
so basically, the edible oil is getting converted into lubricant.
Yeah, duplicate. Yes, they are doing that, and it is already successful. But of course, one of my earlier bank has helped them under the credit guarantee scheme. Now they want 10 crores, so I will ask them to meet you.
Sure.
Yes, 1 minute, sir. We have another speaker, but please, sir.
Yeah.
Mother has organized such a things in a short period of time. Say, I was dealing all India level, MSMs. So there are some problems of the cluster programs, cluster development programs. They have a mini clusters, mega clusters, and all these things. In that, because we will make afterwards, and talk in details in that, how we can resolve these issues. But definitely everything is there. Marketability is also there. But collateral security is a part of the thing also. Because I am dealing with the many banks. I was chairman of the Zonal Bankers Committee. He was doing.
We will meet him, sir.
Yeah.
Because there is so many projects them without collateral, only primary collateral.
Pan India presence.
Yes.
I'm dealing with a lot of IPOs. I'm dealing with all government of India programs. Now, recently, Agricultural Development Fund has come to. Minister of Food has called us a cluster programs. 10 crore subsidy part in those schemes. But many people are not aware about this thing.
Sir,
so what is required? What to say? What is required? We have to go to people to make them understand. It should come up.
We'll do the awareness program. In the various cluster, we'll go and
that we have already started. What we are doing, we are appointing one consultant to identify clusters across India. So that we can keep.
I was heading the all India clusters.
Okay.
Nearly more than 5,000 clusters I have set up actually across the country, southern part, eastern part, in a different area actually. But they still again, and that's why I'm dealing with the NABARD for IPOs. They found the IPOs. They are not able to convert into valuation for that actually.
That is the.
I am giving the support for how to produce, where to market it, what is the packaging standard is yours. We'll just afterwards. We
so all of these MSME as well as mid corporate. The wherewithal separate for green initiative, they will be definitely short of funds. For them, it is not priority. Banks should come out, especially when we are financing, what are your initiative and whether that could be taken by us.
Bank would be very eager for this.
Yes.
Once there is no taxonomy is available.
Correct.
That's correct.
One example.
Sir, I will please. Be there 5 minutes, sir. Last speaker. Yes, sir. We'll meet, sir. 1 minute. So now we are coming to the next speaker, Nirmala Patil. She is an ex-banker and she is also a strategist and AI consultant. So she is a Six Sigma black belt and AI strategy advisor with the rich banking background. She leads AI transformation initiatives, consults with enterprises, and mentors leadership through ISB Hyderabad Leadership Program. And she has attended our Enqube program. Last time she was here in our own hall here. And today, of course, due to her travel, she is going to speak online. So can I ask Nirmala Patil to speak now on the subject that leadership, sustainability, and AI thinking beyond CSR? Shilpa? Yeah. Our Nirmala Patil.
I'm not able to. Okay, fine. Thank you.
You come on the line, madam. Yeah, please. So thank you. Sorry for certain delay. Please.
No worry. Okay. Can anybody?
Yeah.
No, I'm not able to activate the video. I think it's saying
video,
host.
I activate video. Otherwise, yeah, it is
No,
allowed.
no, it's saying the host has muted it.
No,
Ma'am, try now, ma'am.
Yeah.
You are on the line.
Yeah,
Welcome.
I'm there. Hello.
Yes.
So good evening. Thank you, Narendra sir, for the excellent webinar that you're holding, and a very, very important topic close to my heart. I've been a sustainability and environment crusader for a very, very long time, much to the chagrin of my family and my society around me. So very, very important topic in today's day. And thank you for the intro, and good evening to everyone. I think I attended a couple of the presentations and the speakers, and it's been in such great detail. Especially I enjoyed the Jitesh's presentation, which was again my area, AI. And I'm so glad that these things are happening, and there are tools which are going to aid the corporates in tracking their progress in various parameters of not ESG, but all other parameters also. So glad to see that. And so today's topic, I'm focusing on more on leadership. So this is going to be more futuristic leadership in the age of AI and sustainability, which is also the very core emerging area. I would say after digitization, AI, sustainability is the next big thing on the horizon. And we are right there, there to amalgamate both AI and sustainability. But what is really needed is the vision of the leadership. And that's what I'm going to call on today and talk on. Leadership is there in many areas, from the government side, the academia side, from the corporate side, from the MSME group side. But I will focus today on corporates and more so on the manufacturing sector, because that's having a large impact. It's also a more controllable group that we can do and address if we want to change anything. Government and MSME and those smaller bits are very difficult to control. So in that sense, Six Sigma has always taught me, address what can be controlled first. Yeah. So in that sense, I would say that there has to be a major shift in which the leadership thinks, or we all think for that matter. Today, we've been talking only of what is mandatory. What is mandatory? Compliance is mandatory. This so-and-so is, Europe has put in this compliance measure. So-and-so has put this compliance measure. So I would say that move from compliance. The leadership needs to think, and they need to think and move from this compliance mindset to making sustainability as their core business strategy. Yeah. So when you shift that, you're more about all the compliance that is required, because your processes, your entire strategy is going to be aligned with any future compliance that may even come up. Yes. So I'm talking of a more futuristic thing and a mindset change that leadership should now start making. And that shift is also from, why am I talking of beyond CSR? Because today we are so bogged down with CSR and the ESG guidelines and the various compliance reports that we are refusing to look anything beyond. We are refusing to look that this is a business opportunity that is there, which businesses can adopt new business models and utilize this opportunity to even make their businesses profitable. Second thing is what I was thinking is why are the businesses still now not addressing this? Is that they are not aware, but it was not possible before. Because take an example, a lot of people were talking about tracking the suppliers' compliance to green initiatives or their own compliance to green initiatives. So if you take a manufacturing cycle of a product, you have, I would say, about 20% of the impact on the environment is from the manufacturing stage or till the time you sell a product. The larger impact is when the product is sold, and after that, 80% of the impact on environment is from that. Whether how the product is used, how the product is utilized and disposed of at the end of its life cycle. Not many products are coming back to the corporates or the manufacturer for disposing in a very ethical way, I would say. So that part was still now not being addressed because it's a very large piece that cannot be addressed. But because how are you going to track which end of the country the product is lying? Today, you know the concept of barcoding. So when you have a barcode on any product, it can be scanned. It's a very unique, that item code. Now, with the advent of AI, today's age, with the advent of AI, you can trace that product anywhere in the globe or anywhere in the country. So today is the right time when you can address this 80% piece that was out of control till now for us. So I think that's the way the corporates and the leaders have to reassess their processes, reassess their business models, in fact, and gain traction on this 80%. Not only on an impact on economy, but there are a lot of business opportunities that are lying in that 80%, and I will come to that shortly.
Yeah.
So these are the now with the circular economy concept, somebody else spoke. I'm just trying to pick up from there, not elaborating too much because somebody else, I think, Ranjini spoke what about it, touched on it. When you're talking of reuse and bringing it back, when you're talking of reduce, reuse, and recycle, that's a very shorter view of taking a circular economy, on the circular economy. I would rather say reduce your impact when you're manufacturing, which a lot of people are addressing, which a lot of speakers did address also. I'm saying add to that repair. When you sell it, after that, how many products are getting repaired? In the olden days, you know that the product would be repaired, even the fanciest of cars could be repaired and used for lifetime. Yes, today that's not possible. So add repair, add reuse. And when you're saying reuse, you add rent and lease service or resale service, which a lot of automobile guys are now doing. They have started reselling also, but of course with a very big profit margin that they do. So resell, rent, lease, and also use products as a service. So you also offer that product as a service. In case, like, just to take the example, a car can be rented out, right? You don't have to buy a car. So like you take Ubers today, if you can expand that to the other areas, like if you want an iPhone, you should be able to rent, Apple should be able to rent out the iPhone to you for 1 year. And if you don't need it, it goes back to Apple. So they still control that 80% and they can do whatever they want with that piece, resell it, reuse it, rent it, or dismantle it and use it for their production. So these are the aspects which corporates need to look at now. Third is take back. You add another loop to this circular economy is take back every product. If you put out 100 products, each product can be today, with the help of technology and AI, geotagged. And when you know it's defunct, that product should come back to the manufacturing company. And so it should be passed on to the suppliers. If this particular product is dismantled, you can pass on the component of the supplier who has supplied that component to you. So this is a larger concept of circular economy that I would suggest. And when you take back, you of course dispose it in a way which is more environment friendly, or recycle and extract whatever you can reuse in your manufacturing. So I would promote 100% take back of every product that you put out in the market. And the responsibility, the ownership and responsibility will lie with the corporate for the for the whole life cycle of the product. I think that's a more expanded version of circular economy that I would advocate here. And AI would help you always, because you do product as a service. When you lend out a product, rent out a product, the AI apps will tell you when it is to be repaired, when the recovery rent period is getting over, when are the rentals to be recovered, which is a better way of renting, what's the best rent available in that area. All these calculations, projections can be done with AI. So in that term, AI can help you in that segment. So AI is only I would say, catalyst in this a new way of doing business, and sustainability becomes the core culture of the company. That mindset shift has to happen. Today, sometimes you're saying AI first should be the core, that should be the core culture of the company. But I am saying sustainability first should be the core culture of the company, and your business will fall in place around that core culture of the company. AI will help you in achieving that. Earlier, it was not possible, but AI will help you in achieving that. So that's my short take on this thing. And I would say that why should I go in? Corporates will ask, why should I go in for it? Because you will reduce your expenses, whether it is energy optimization of energy resources, whether it's water resources, whether it's your manpower resources, even your construction and your office space that you're using it. With all this can be optimized with the help of AI. And these all will be optimized, and your sustainability targets will be achieved. So you'll have a better bottom line and a top line.
Yes. Thank you, Nirmalji. That is,
Thank you.
Yeah, because you said that is a very important that correlates to our main subject, that is people, planet, and profit.
Very
in
true.
A way. And the majority who could understand and who could really take it up, who could make it their cultural purpose and take up this initiative on the sustainability will be the corporate. And that's how the SEBI also has come with the first 1,000 companies. Now, what you are saying, one is that leadership in the board level, then the second senior management level or the lower level as a culture, they must take that initiative, and every action along with the profit, it should be centered around this particular objective.
Very true, very true.
And the cultural value itself will give reputational value. It will also give
brand value. Yes.
And brand value and stakeholder value proposition. Second, you said that the product, when the main primary is to do sale, but after that sales, sometimes after sales service. But if it has a particular lifetime, then after that also, if it is usable, then it could be utilized in a way where its lifetime can be enhanced. So the company should have the traceability of that product in the another 80% what you said, where they can trace it, and their own income will improve, their own customer base will improve, then maybe rent bigger equipments, machinery equipments in various company manufacturing, as you said.
Yeah, there'll be no revenue, new revenue streams they can have.
After a certain time, it will be sold as a scrap. Even some of the car now, minimum 15 years. Afterwards, now there is a need for, now one is scrap value, but it could be, there is actually some Uber and Ola and some of them have started an enterprise where they put the value proposition to those cars, and that can be further utilized. So that has to be adapted. So in all that, your point is AI will help, and CSR is not beyond merely 2% because compulsory, but quite a lot of corporate CSR beyond the compulsion, compliance apart from that. If that what you call expands, then these issues will be really getting the meaning.
Like garbage segregation was really unheard of 10 years back in India, but now it's sort of become a way of life. You don't know, of course, the end has to be tied up yet, But I would say, so this should also become a way of doing business as well.
Most of the bigger corporates all have started their own foundation, including banks. And we have here ICICI Foundation. SBI has got SBI Foundation. Union Bank has got. Similarly, corporate, Adani or Reliance or all of them. And their expansion of activity itself, that itself is a big activity today. So that we should appreciate. So with that, now I am calling. Thank you very much, Nirmal Madam. So
thank you, sir.
And we are calling my good friend R. Kannan, who has an extensive experience of working in various banks, then 35 years, and later in TCS also, and later in former general manager ICICI, and later he was the director in IFMR, and he's in what you call TCS also, and CA IIT Bombay alumnus, ex RBI advisor, and now he was another thing is he's well known is Hindujas. He was working in Hinduja. Published now today he's sending each week a lot of advice to the World Bank, even to our government of India. And he recently met the cabinet secretary and other secretary in Delhi. So now later we have to take premium and from him to meet him. With this, I request him. One is to conclude this in a way or give all the points. Then we will be having a green pledge. We have to take a green pledge, all of us. And later, each of the participants will send a green certificate of participation also. So Kannanji, come. So, yeah.
Yeah. Pledge also.
Yeah, later. Please start.
So, good evening to all of you, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, and dedicated participants.
Yeah.
As we draw to close this truly invigorating conference, I would say that today we had almost a 360-degree view of this concept. We had a practitioner also in the form of Mr. Jitesh Shetty, who gave how he is doing it for about 140 corporates. So this is a conference on people, planet, profit, green finance and sustainability, and AI for climate action. So I am filled with immense gratitude and optimism after hearing all your experiences and views. And over the past hours, we had seen, hearing a lot of ideas, insights, and a shared passion for shaping sustainable future. We journeyed through complex challenges and illuminated pathways to impactful solutions. My sincere thanks to each speaker who so eloquently shared their expertise, enriching your understanding and inspiring new perspectives. And especially to Enqube collaboration and Dr. Narendra sir for arranging this important topic. Yeah, when everybody is talking about this climate. In fact, about giving various examples of what is happening in India. So that was a very good introduction. Then it was followed by, we had Dr. Sarita in this field and helping companies and governments to adopt these new concepts. She then brought into sharp focus the pressing reality of climate change and India's robust yet challenging national response. Her insights into our commitments and strategies reminded us of the scale of our ambition and the path ahead. She has also given some solutions, some 4 or 5 solutions she mentioned that we have to adopt. Then we had Ms. Swati Agarwal. She has the pulse of the economy and through CARE ratings, they know what is happening in every sector. She demystified green finance and ESG investing. In fact, it looked more like a fireside chat with Dr. Narendra, exchanging a lot of ideas between both of them, showcasing how capital can be a powerful force for good, aligning economic growth with environmental and social imperatives. This session reinforced that sustainable investing is not just an ethical choice, but a financially prudent one. As you are all aware now, government is focusing on raising green finance. Initially, they have raised, now they want companies to raise. There was also a case where they mentioned L&T Finance went and raised a bond. Then Mr. Ashwin Kumar Chowdhury,
yes.
he provided a vital perspective on how banks support sustainability, detailing the evolving role of financial institutions and fostering a greener economy. And he also spoke about what kind of organization structure mechanisms they are creating within a bank. Then he was talking about how they are creating awareness among various groups in the bank. Then we had Dr. Ajay Singh from ISB. He again gave a lot of examples on the importance of water, water scarcity.
Example of project and
Live example of a project. And he said how he talked about a new way of public-private PPP model, where he talked about every person can provide 1,000 rupees, then 1 lakh. So like that, he talked about even PPP on a smaller scale. We all talk of PPP on a larger scale. We talked about PPP on a smaller scale where a small project can be even funded by people within the community. So that is an innovative concept which we came across. Then we had Ms. Ranjini Varghese. She brought our attention on the circular economy. She had a lot of statistics. I was really surprised. She gave lots of numbers and she talked about corporate waste action, a fundamental shift from linear models. Her insights into reducing, reusing, recycling, and corporate strategies are very vital for resource efficiency. Then we had Mr. Prasanna Logar. He is the president of Blockchain Association, and he again gave examples of how they are trying to work with Maharashtra government on certain initiatives using AI for climate action. From optimizing energy to enhancing disaster response, AI emerges as a formidable ally provided we embed ethical practice at its core. Then we had Mr. Jitesh Shetty. He actually he is implementing. If you talk about emissions, there are scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. So he has developed a model where Madam also, the last speaker, she spoke about 80% of emissions are after selling the product. So after 80% of emissions come after the sale of the product. So that is where that scope 1, 2, 3. So we saw Mr. Jitesh Shetty with the help of AI as a foundational model. Taking that, he has developed, on top of that, he has developed some models where you will be able to track what is happening across your supply chain, your own company, etc., etc. And he has given, actually, he has given a small demonstration. We are very impressed with the way he is doing it, and he is already doing it for 140 companies. So, as you are all aware, this concept is still at a nascent stage in India. So, like these type of companies are going to enable reporting. When initially SEBI came up with the reporting format, they said that companies have to monitor 800 variables. Then everybody went and said it is really impossible. It will be very costly. So then they reduced it to 50 parameters. So this is still a work in progress, but companies like Credible, they are doing a very good job of enabling companies to reporting this framework. Then we had Ms. Anjali Tarapur. She was looking after ESG in HDFC Bank, taking a lot of initiatives. As you are all aware, HDFC Bank is one of the leading banks in India, spending a lot of money on CSR and all that. So she talked about planet, people, and profit, triple bottom line. It was a powerful reminder that true business success is holistic, encompassing environmental stewardship, social equity, and economic viability. Then we have Mr. Chandrasekhar Arya. And when we talk about this, we cannot leave out MSMEs. Actually, I prepared a note and shared with the
give it to
ministry about 4 months ago. I will share with both of you. So I have talked about how MSMEs can work. You talked about clusters and all.
We have just yesterday celebrated the International MSME Day.
Yeah, MSME Day. So MSMEs will play a very major role going forward in all these emissions and all. So like Dr. Narendra sir was saying, that they have to be handheld by many of the MSMEs are suppliers or dealers for large companies. So they should be handheld by large companies. That's one. And second is many times they can also be kind of funded by large companies. So the large companies have to report what is happening in scope 1, 2, 3.
MSME supplies niche product to the corporate.
Yeah.
And without their nicheness and their product cannot be what you call qualitative.
Yeah.
So that has to be supported. I may always government has scheme.
Yeah.
But corporate thoda uska paas investment dena, private equity bhi hai. Why not private and alternative investment fund bhi dete hain unko? But corporate should also give.
So finally, we had Ms. Nirmala Patel. She really gave a total overview of whatever we discussed. And she concluded by saying that what is more important is it is not artificial intelligence. What you have to focus more on this ESG aspects and leadership. It should not be taken as a compliance and stop with that. It should be part of corporate strategy. So then she also said that farming as a part of corporate strategy, it is going to give a lot of benefits to the company. And she gave some examples also. So what resonates most strongly as we conclude is the undeniable interconnectedness of these themes. Green finance fuels sustainable projects. AI provides the intelligence to optimize them. The circular economy ensures resource efficiency and strong leadership guided by the planet, people, profit ethos drives it all forward. So this conference is not an end, but a powerful beginning. Yeah. So it's a call to action for each one of us to be agents of change in our respective spheres. Let the insights shared today ignite further dialogue, foster new partnerships, and propel us towards a future where economic growth and ecological well-being go hand in hand. Thank you all for being part of this crucial conversation and work together to build a future that is truly for the people, for the planet, and for enduring prosperity. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kannan. Please, this side, 1 minute. So, as I mentioned, so there is a small green pledge. I request all of you also repeat with me. Small one.
Yeah.
Small one. Yeah, give a slide. Yeah. So, this is, so all of us, so we,
I pledge.
yeah, we can stand also.
Yeah.
I pledge to support a sustainable future by embracing sustainable practices and in my own endeavor helping to give and get green finance, climate finance, and also to promote climate innovation and advocating responsible use of technology. I commit to making eco-conscious choices in my personal
and
professional life, and to be for positive environmental change.
positive environmental change.
Thank you, madam, and all of the other audience here.
Thank
On
you.
behalf of Enqube collaboration, once again, I thank all our speakers and our esteemed audience here also, and others on the virtual. We are also grateful to our what do you call support logistics, A1 Logistics from Shilpa Mulki is there, and Praveen Udupa. I also our what you call our partners in this particular program. So we have one is MSME Bharat Manch, then our Rupee Boss, then we have Credible, then we have also that India Financial Forum, which is again there. Then we have a startup Holy Catalyst and Sudeep Pandal is, and his colleagues are also here. And with that, I hope that our endeavor of knowledge imparting will go, and all of you who are our well-wishers will support our endeavor. Thank. I am also thankful to Priyanka, is our colleague here, and all others once again. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
All of you. Yeah, please come. Yeah. Yeah. All that's right. Yeah, you all of you come here. Here. Yeah, please call Sanita, madam. Yeah. Come on.